a tough morning for England. Ultimately, Sri Lanka resisting, and potentially more hard work to do this afternoon. Play should be getting underway reasonably shortly in Gaul. Slightly delayed lunch interval, so we're waiting for the players to come back on. Who have I got with me for this first part of the afternoon session? I've got Tuffers with me, and Michael Vaughan alongside me has just reminded me, Tuffers, that on this day, way back in history, 1992, a certain England left-arm spinner, 46.1 overs, 25 maidens, 7 for 47.
It was a road as well, flat as a pancake. It was an absolute road.
Go on, we got some time.
It was amazing, wasn't it? I think they were a couple down at tea on the last day.
Who were a couple down?
New Zealand.
Yeah.
And they were, we were packing up at tea. We were getting our bags sorted out to move on to another venue, and then bang, 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 bang. It all happened rather quickly. Martin Crowe came down the wicket to try and hit me over the top to sort of avoid an inning, the loss, because we would not have had time to go out and bat because it was right near the end of play. And skied one at Derek Pringle, and we won the Test match. It was amazing. I think I got six for not many in a very short space of time. So a great day. It was amazing, and as I say, a long time ago now, but one of those days when everything just went your way. People were bat padding. I mean, it was a decent bit of bowling as well, but so there was a couple of great catches. I think John Wright was stumped on 99 just after tea, and it just started the jitters. You really did feel the jitters sort of reverberating round the New Zealand dressing room, and they kept coming in and they kept walking out. It was a great afternoon.
And the big, look at 46 overs to 47 runs. Obviously the big block was on.
And they were doing it easy because, as you say, it was a flat pitch at Christchurch. Christchurch didn't particularly sort of break up. It was pretty flat, and they were doing it easy.
That was old Lancaster Park, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And obviously they haven't played there since the earthquake. I remember. They play at Hagley Park now. Hagley Oval. It's a lovely new ground. In Hagley Park, and you go to Lancaster Park now, and the last time I was in Christchurch, the last but one, the poor old ground, it was it'd been blocked down basically, and they hadn't done anything to it, and it was a very, very sad sight.
Salts is, I've just got to mention that is also, we've been talking about our breakfast, which is the highlight of our early mornings. Hold on, I'll carry on after this.
Right, we're going to have the first ball after lunch. Here they go, actually. It's Leach to bowl to Dick Weller, and Dick Weller goes back and drags a ball. It's only fractionally short into the onside, so he's underway straight away after lunch. He played really well in that first session today. 3-14 for 6.
Yeah, we were just talking about sort of, bacon sandwiches, and we've been having that a little bit every day since we've been here at the Oval. So me and Dan fancied something a bit different. So we were sort of trying to nail down some dim sum. And now Andy's actually showing me dim sum, and the backdrop on his Zoom call, he's put on dim sum. I think you might get worked a bit harder this session, Andy.
Don't be getting complacent, Andy.
Yes.
Could you just give us the stats on Dick Weller's innings so far?
Always a cruel stats man.
Here's Leach bowling. Forward goes Pereira, inside edge there into the onside. There's no short leg. It wasn't in the air, but Butler trots out from behind the stumps to pick up. Yeah, so he's got a picture of dim sum on his backdrop, and he's eating dim sum.
I think he's found some as well. Oh, is it nice? Give us a nod.
Lovely. Yeah, the picture's what I just made during the lunch break.
Well, it looks an absolute delight.
I have to say, dim sum at 7:15 on Saturday morning as Leach goes in and bowls a slow turner to Pereira and lets it go through to Butler. It's not necessarily that enticing.
Well, I just fancy something a bit different and a bit zingy and a bit umami, something a bit sort of savoury. And we can't seem to track it down here, but Andy's done it well.
Leach bowls, again, a fraction of turn. Pereira leans forward and pushes into the offside. There is just something beginning to happen with this pitch now.
That's it's offered.
Not dramatic turn or anything like that. No. It's not sharp spin like we saw in the last game. Certainly the latter part of it. Forward goes Pereira to Leach and plays it into the onside. Butler again comes from behind the stumps to pick up. and there is no run. Sri Lanka 3.14 for 6. I'm sure people will be switching on a Saturday morning. Good morning to England. Had a great start to the day. Matthews out early, inside edge onto the pad, caught behind off Anderson for 110. And then Mendes caught down the leg side by Butler off Wood for naught. Here is Leach bowling. Forward goes Pereira, defending into the offside, and there is no run. Pereira's 21. Dick Weller has played a really fine innings. He's 79 not out. He's 4 away, I think, from his highest Test match score, and 21 therefore away from what will be his first Test 100. And he's played so well today. He's attacked at times, but he's also been resolute in defence. It's been an immaculate Test match innings from Sri Lanka's number 6 after some loose strokes, I think it's fair to say, in the first Test, where he tossed away a couple of wickets. Andy, got something?
Oh yeah, his highest previously 83 against Pakistan in Abu Dhabi in the morning sessions. 59 off 63 balls with 4 fours. He 5 dot balls to start with. After that, England couldn't string dots against him. He only had 1 run of 4 dot balls. Other than that, was scoring every 2, 3 or 4 deliveries. A superb display.
I was just wondering, Andy, is this the amount? Is this the most amount of 2s that someone's ever scored who hasn't scored a Test match century on a Tuesday? I can't think of an absolutely ridiculous stat for being so cruel. Oh dear, it's going to be a bacon roll again, isn't it? Oh look, he's just showing off now.
Yeah, but you're not he's basically showing us his break, but you're not giving him the chance to eat it, Tupper. So perhaps we'll give him an over off.
Oh, Varney's on the salmon flakes. They've been broken out.
Anyway, it's going to be Jimmy Anderson to bowl.
Sorry everyone,
so spin at one end
and it's starting to get in my brain a bit.
He's at the other.
Oh, look at this field.
Yes, it's almost a Jimmy Abu Dhabi field.
Yes, it is.
Incredible field he had in Abu Dhabi. Amazing pictures. Umbrella field on the offside and the onside. This is more an umbrella field on the offside.
Yeah.
With a silly mid-off and a short extra cover and a slip and a gully. And Anderson goes in now and bowls to Dick Weller, and Dick Weller edges this, but a guided edge down towards the third man boundary before it was past the gully fielder, and he's just finding a way, Dick Weller, to pierce the field, and now he's equalled his highest Test score with power to add as well. He's 83 not out from 125 balls, and it's 318 for 6.
I'll tell you what he's done well here as well, and he's not tried to hit it outside the off stump, has he? He's just timed that, waited for that sort of bit of extra bounce that James Anderson's getting, and just guided it. Sometimes where he makes a mistake is he kind of has a flick at it through that sort of gully backward point region, but he just let the ball come onto the bat, right off the middle of the bat, raced away for 4. Past, no third man.
Well, he's played well enough for 100 here, Dick Weller. Anderson looking for a fifer. And be his second in the subcontinent. If he gets it, goes in now and bowls to Dick Weller, and that's guided away, and they've dropped that man back now from gully to almost a backward point stroke short third man. And he hit it straight to him, straight to Zach Crawley. What's been noticeable about Dick Weller today is just how many have come out in the middle of the bat. He's driven well, he's pulled well, he's one top edge that he survived. Top edge slog sweep that went close to Jack Leach and then bounced in front of them, spun past him. It was quite, in a way, it looked quite embarrassing, but Leach had to be committed to the catch. Anderson bowls, Dick Weller plays defensively back up the pitch, and there's no run. No blame to Leach, he couldn't get there, but when he did, it spun the other way, so it looked quite comical. The way Jack Leach runs as well, so he's running one way in and then had to run all the way back. Anderson with 4 wickets to his name. I don't know what the sound effects are on your device at the moment. He's replaying those 4 wickets. His wicket today was an inside edge, Matthews, onto his pad that went behind to Butler. There was a sort of, like that, a concerted appeal, not by any means. Anderson bowls to Dick Weller. Dick Weller plays that away into the offside towards that deep gully position, and there is no run. And England thought about a review. They appealed initially, it was given not out. They thought about the review, and then there was a spike on the inside edge. It clearly hit the pad, but there was a feather through to the pad, then through to the keeper. And when you get one of those as a fielding side, Root was delighted, not just to get rid of Matthews, but also as well that they almost stole them, because I don't think they were minded to review it necessarily. give it a go, really. Where are we on the reviews? And here is Anderson bowling to Dick Weller, who drives into the offside square of the wicket. England have that man back sweeping, so it's only a single, and Dick Weller now has his highest Test match score.
It was a strange one, Matthews, wasn't it? Because for an absolute tickle, or a feather as we call it, just the tiniest of scratch, there was quite a big mark on the snickometer, wasn't there?
There was, yeah.
It was like it was a healthy edge, but it certainly didn't look like it.
How many reviews of
I think we still got 3 of them.
England and Sri Lanka got left? You've been keeping a note, Andy. Oh, I did give you an over off, didn't I?
Sri Lanka have 2 left, England have 3 left.
Right, thank you. 319 for 6. Dick Weller is doing some stretching exercises, which just suggests either his hamstrings are a problem or his back. To keep wicket later, Anderson goes in and bowls outside the off stump. There's no stroke from Dilruwan Pereira, who's shown excellent support for Dick Weller. He's been there for 83 balls. It's 319 for 6.
Yeah, and England will be thinking, you know, Jimmy Anderson has looked the most likely, perhaps with a little bit of wood. You know, and Sri Lanka will be thinking, if we can just play Jimmy Anderson out, he's only probably going to have, what, 3, 4 overs in him. They've looked very comfortable against the spinners, these two. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, Dick Weller's now on the ground having a hamstring stretch. Well spotted, Simon.
Yeah, might be some cramp there in his hamstring areas, or the back of the thigh. The physio's out there stretching his left leg.
Get the salt lick out.
Salt lick?
Isn't that good for...
Well, you lick some salt, do you?
Well, yeah.
Does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, isn't it the lack of salt that gives you a bit of cramp? They give you the salt tablets, I think, don't they?
I think potassium as well. Bananas are quite good, aren't they, for cramp? Yeah, anyway, he's had a drink and he's had a leg stretch, and he's just come back after lunch, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know, he's stiffened up a bit.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, England will be desperate to get rid of this because they've fought back really well. England at the start of the day will be going thinking, anything under 330 will be a really good effort. It's just getting to that point now.
243 for 6.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, it's worth emphasising it, Thomas. I mean, it's a good pitch, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Well, it has been. Well, it will continue to be.
Just get the feeling that when it goes, it might go quickly here.
Here is Leach getting heckled by Michael Vaughan in the background.
What are you chuckling about?
It's one of those.
It looks like a commando, Michael Vaughan. He's got this black beanie on. Looks like he's going on a mission.
I wouldn't want to take him on. I wouldn't want to take him on this morning. 319 for 6. Dick Weller on 84. Highest Test match score. Leach tosses this right up almost Yorker length outside the off stump, driven by Dick Weller. Goes scuttling out to Lawrence fielding in the covers, and there is no run.
He getting heckled. What's he heckled?
He's gone out of the room now. He's gone off to make himself a cup of tea. Here is Leach bowling. Fraction turn back in there to the left hand on misfield. He forced it away towards mid wicket, and it was misfielded in that area by Bairstow, who punched his hand one hand to the other in frustration at allowing Dick Weller a single there. Yeah, Dick Weller to 85.
Yeah, it has been you said the other day, I think, Simon, that it's a bit bobbly, isn't it? The old Gaul outfield, it's sort of like got that lush, tufty grass that can play a few tricks on you. There's been a few misfields.
Leach to Pereira, he sweeps, he struck on the pads, a shout for LBW. That looked optimistic, I have to say. Get pitched outside leg stunning. They do have 3 reviews left. My initial reaction is I'm not convinced by that. What's Root going to do? He's having a chat with Leach. They are going to review it.
Worth it, I suppose.
What do you think, Tuffers?
Not out.
Didn't feel right, did it?
No, going down or pitching outside leg. Didn't think it turned back far enough.
We have
had a lot of work to do.
For LBW, the on-field decision is not out.
But I suppose you got 3.
It's a
three
fair delivery. You can start with the front on spin vision, please.
May as well burn one if you think you've got half a chance. Works for with Angelo Matthews. Let's have a look here.
Where is this pitched? I think it's pitched outside leg stump, isn't it? And it's hit him outside leg stump as well.
To the bat.
This doesn't have got anything going for it at all.
Yeah. Really. Give me all plates, please, to confirm.
This is wishful thinking. This is.
Might have got an underglove on it as well.
Keep rolling it.
The sort of side of the glove, but I don't think so.
Keep rolling.
Just rolling through to see if there's any glove on it at the moment.
Okay, flat line where the ball passes the bat. So it's confirmed no bat involved. You can give me ball tracking when it's ready, please.
This is Lyndon Hannibal, the third umpire. There's the ball tracking.
Up. Original decision is not out. Pitching outside
blimey.
the leg stump. So you can give me the on-field
What's that?
umpire, please, Ruchi. So
3
pitching
inches
outside the leg stump. You
outside
can
leg.
stay with your original decision. You're on screen now. You can make your decision. Thank you.
Way outside leg stump. That was wishful thinking. That
It was.
Hint
Yeah.
of desperation about it.
Yeah. There is a little bit on that.
So it's 2-2 now with reviews remaining. 320 for 6. It did straighten, but pitched outside
Touch.
leg stump. There will be people, and because I've heard it said quite a lot recently, that just can't understand the LBW law. Why is it that you should have something so artificial as Leach goes in and bowls, it's full, it's driven into the onside towards mid-on. There's no one at mid-on, so it's a single to Pereira, he goes to 22, it's 321 for 6. Why do you have something so artificial as it can't be out, the ball pitches outside leg stump? Well, I mean, the best answer I can give is it would alter the balance of the game if you could be out.
Cool.
The ball pitched outside leg stump. It would take out quite a lot of offside play. Here is Leach bowling. Down the pitch comes Dick Weller, turns it into the onside for a single.
Yeah.
322 for 6.
Well, what would happen is that you'd just have leg theory all
Yeah.
the time. You'd just
Essentially.
have everyone on the leg side.
Yeah.
And all your fielders there, you know, be trying to get batsmen to play across the line. And that would be, yeah, it'd probably be over pretty quickly, a game, actually.
Yeah, and also just alter the balance of the game. You'd have lots of leg side play rather than offside play.
Yeah.
You would lose that balance in the game.
Yes.
I mean, by all means, if people want to have a look at it, play a game, experiment and see what would happen, what bowlers would do.
Yeah.
You want to have a look before you think about changing a law. But I don't think there's any great outcry for it, is there? There's no people aren't signing petitions to have LBW's outside leg pitching outside leg stump.
Well, there's a little bit going on in the world at the moment. Be worried about if you should be pitching outside leg stuff. Perhaps next year when everything's back to normal, we might have a look at it.
People will be lobbying
We don't need a
Parliament.
divisive referendum.
People flying over to Dubai to picket outside the ICC headquarters. No, I don't see it. But that's basically the reason anyway why pitching outside leg stump is given not out
Having
on
said
LBW
that-
decisions. Yeah.
Having said that, hold on.
Let's watch Anderson first. Yeah, goes in now and bowls to Dick Weller. Dick Weller drives nicely, but into this
Three-man ring.
three-man umbrella field on the offside now. So short point, short extra cover, silly mid-off.
I think that if you switch hit, you should. Oh, I could be getting myself in trouble here.
What it changes round, so you
Yes.
immediately become a left-hander or a
I
right-hander
agree.
if you turn
Yes.
round.
Yes. So if it pitches outside leg stump, but then you go for the switch hit,
Yeah.
and you're then pitching outside leg stump, and it spins back to hit the stumps, let's say, I think that should be given out, LBW.
Anderson bowls. That's played uppishly to short point. It wasn't far away that time from Sibley there on the offside.
Do you concur, Simon?
I'd have to think about it, but it doesn't sound a bad idea
Yes.
because it gives something back to the bowler, doesn't it? The
Well, yeah.
batsman wants to take it on.
Yeah, you've got to declare whether you're left-handed or right-handed to make, rules about wides and LBW laws.
Yeah, well, the bowler, as Ian Chappell makes this point the whole time, he says as a bowler you're supposed to tell the batsman whether you're going to bowl left-hand or
Exactly.
right-handed.
Yes, or over or round the wicket.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anderson bowls and Dick Weller guides that away, finds the gap, he threads it through there down towards third man. There is a fielder there, Bess, and it's a single. 323 for 6.
Yeah, you'd
but
see-
as you know,
Oh.
Tuffers, it's a batsman's game, so
Well, yeah, always.
tough luck.
I know, we are just the workhorses. But yes, if I said left arm over, and as I came running up, I just nipped round the wicket, he'd be absolutely mortified, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He'd be, oh.
Did we get anywhere earlier with that question I asked you, Andy? I obviously asked you the question, I went off air and someone else picked up the commentary, but about that bowler that Alistair Cook was talking about who could bowl
Yes, that's right.
left-handed and right-handed, a Pakistani in the Alistair said in the under-15s he played against him. Pereira on 22 outside the off-stump, no stroke against Anderson, through to Butler, 323 for 6.
Well, there was I couldn't find that particular bowler yet, but there was an article by John Stern for Wisden Cricket Monthly a couple of years ago and it dealt with Kamindu Mendis, who's played international cricket for Sri Lanka, who bowls left arm orthodox and right arm off breaks.
Here's Anderson moving in to bowl to the right-handed Pereira, and a solid defensive shot back to the right arm fast medium bowling of Anderson.
He also mentioned an Indian player, Akshay Khanawar, Yasir Jan, a young Pakistan pacer who bowls left and right arm seam, which is even more unusual. Shaila Sharmin, Bangladesh women's player, and Gemma Barsby in Australia. So there are a few, and I think with T20 we might see more.
Yeah. Anderson in to complete the over outside the off stump. There is no stroke. It's 323 for 6. England have been out there for 117 overs. Matthews out for 110. Mendis for 0. 1 for Anderson, 1 for Wood today. Pereira 22. Dick Weller 87. Dan Norcross is going to take over the commentary. Tuffers, could you, via you, could you bowl right arm if you wanted to, or does that just feel all wrong for you?
All wrong. All wrong. No, I wouldn't have even tried. I mean, not too bad, but yes, I was just saying, it's all very well and good bowling left and right arm spinners to left and right arm batsmen, but just how good are you at doing it? You know what I mean? That's the main thing. Yeah. Try and be a master of one.
Is Dan there?
Yes, I am here. Yeah, sorry, they've the Zoom is focusing
just on Tuffers.
Just on Tuffers. Yeah, I think it's to save you the horror of looking at me.
Fair enough.
Didn't Jofra Archer practice?
We did left arm spin,
didn't he?
Yeah. Pretty.
Well, that'd be quite the
wafty,
thing, wouldn't it?
Pretty wafty little left arm spins.
Yes.
You wouldn't mind facing Jofra Archer bowling left arm spin. Why?
Well, I'd rather
Why
he was
would
bowling
you?
left arm spin.
Why would you?
Jack Leach is bowling left arm spin, and this delivery's a bit short, pulled round the corner by Dick Weller, very controlled fashion down to Mark Wood at deep backwards square leg for a single. 324 for 6. Pereira back on strike on 22. Dick Weller hunting down his first Test 100. I've seen Andy's backdrop, and it's frankly unconscionable trolling.
Tis.
Yeah, I can see.
He's always struck me as a nice fellow, you know.
Well, he struck me as a nice fellow. For those of you wondering what we're talking about, I'll explain in a moment as Leach is round the wicket to the right-handed Pereira, who defends on the offside. We can all see each other via a Zoom meeting, so that we can make sure that people are there, and we can say, I'm handing over to so-and-so, and ensure that they are actually visible. And on a Zoom backdrop is that's taken the outside edge, has it? Big appeal. Umpire says no. Forward came Pereira to that full ball.
Spun.
Root's convinced it's out.
Spun.
Leach is convinced it's out, but it did spin. That was the perfect delivery to the right-hander propping forward. Oh, well, Root's been talked out of it.
Are we going to start seeing, we said around sort of like just after lunch tea time, second day, this pitch will start going, and that's the first one that has really kicked and turned.
Let's take a look.
Let's say that's from, that's probably about middle stump, isn't it? Middle and off stump, and turn quickly. Ooh.
Well, Butler threw the ball up in the air immediately. That's fallen, got the inside edge onto pad. Suddenly, Leach has got that one coming back into the right-hander. He's got one to fizz past the outside edge. Just in this over, something started happening for Leach against Pereira. We haven't seen a replay yet, so I can't tell you whether the previous appeal was a reasonable one or not. Leach in again, that's a bit shorter, and Pereira goes onto the back foot, pushes square the wicket to Sibley at point. There's no run.
And it is funny in the subcontinent that it almost, as you see, you can almost set your sort of watch by when it starts to turn, you know.
A little bit of dust as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, and it's almost like the surface has just had enough, and it's been baked.
Full defended by Pereira, back to the bowler. End of the over, another wicketless one from Leach, but there's hope for him there, certainly, as he got ball to turn past the outside edge of Pereira's bat. Sri Lanka 324 for 6. Dick Weller 88, Pereira 22.
It's sort of like it's been hanging on, and then it just sort of goes, I can't hang on anymore. And it just goes, and it just starts to go. It does. It happens quickly. When in England, it's sort of, the odd one goes, and then as the game wears, it sort of has a momentum of it, and it slowly starts to go a bit more, then a bit more, then a bit more. But over in that part of the world, it's sort of like, right, it's now starting to happen. Very quickly.
Well,
that's interesting, that is it. England won't particularly like to see that.
No, because they'd probably like it to hold together for another day and a half,
yes,
wouldn't they? At least.
Definitely.
As Sri Lanka have batted now into the fifth session of their innings, 108 18 overs. Anderson's in the attack.
And that might just, as we were talking earlier, might just give Pereira that little extra bit of steel to hang on.
Well, exactly, because if the pitch is going to disintegrate, then you hang around for another hour and a half. It could be the difference, couldn't it?
Very much so.
It's just to finish that point. Andy's got a zoom backdrop of dim sum because he knows that I'm desperately hankering for it. As Anderson comes hurtling into the left-handed Dick Weller. Dick Weller defends into the offside. There's no run. I wonder if we were slightly influenced by the sky, you know. I mean, I got that hankering when the sky was as black as soy sauce.
Yes.
And then I sort of fancied maybe a little bit of crispy duck as it went a bit hosiny. And now it's a sort of
chilly.
Well, the sun has not risen yet, but the sky itself is kind of the colour of a generously filled blueberry muffin. So maybe that's what I'm after. Don't know. I'm easily suggestible as Anderson, his tongue out, runs into the left-handed Dick Weller, turns this ball off his pads out through mid-wicket. And the egrets scatter. They might get a third here. They won't, I don't think. Well, they're coming back for the third. Throw comes in. He's going to have to hurry, but he's got back as Dick Weller, despite having had, we think, a touch of cramp earlier. I have a tried and tested method to get rid of cramp.
Go on.
Because to got it quite a bit in Australia when we were in air-conditioned environments.
Oh, what, commentating?
Yeah, well, also the hotel rooms and that.
Oh, what, just laying on your bed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, I'm a finely tuned machine.
Yes, it's racehorse.
3:27 for 6.
Go on.
Well, the breakfast spread that divides the nation 50-50, that cannot be named.
Right.
On the BBC.
Oh, yes, got it. Sorry.
But a teaspoon of that gets rid of cramp for me immediately. Pushing away from his body is Pereira into the covers fielded by Sibley at point. No
well,
run.
and the other one, of course, is the tonic water, isn't it?
Tonic water,
Indian tonic water with the quinine.
Ah.
Yes. Don't think.
Now then, having a quick.
Oh, he's nicked it.
He has nicked it. Yes.
Why don't you review?
Right. So let's explain. The previous over, Jack Leach went up for a big appeal to Pereira, who was propping forwards. The ball we thought beat the outside edge with it. We've now seen the ultra edge footage.
Yeah.
Anderson is into Pereira. He's forward in defence, pushes solidly into the offside. That's going to hurt. And we've seen the ultra edge, and the evidence is conclusive that there was an edge, a reasonable edge, well taken
his
by
bat was
Butler.
hitting his pad at the same time, wasn't it?
Well, the ball.
I reckon that's given.
No, I don't think his bat was hitting the pad at exactly the same time. There was a little slight scuff, and then as the ball is right next to the edge, there's a big spike. And I think the umpire would have had to overturn his original decision.
What's going on out there? Because none of them heard the one that got rid of Angelo Matthews. That was like a bit of a punt, wasn't it?
Anderson bowls a bouncer, which Pereira ducks underneath. I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, that looked rego, didn't it? Looked regulation.
I think what happened was that they did the first review, and it was so poor that there's a sort of sense that we can't afford to burn another one, because then we'd be down to just one review, and that's the danger. You see it so many times when you take a bit of a punt on a review, which they did for the leg before when the ball was shown to be pitching outside the line of leg stump, and then
out.
Well, Andy might have a point. Andy might have a point there. As forward comes Pereira to a full ball, pushes up to mid off, no run. The bat was close to the pad, but there was a sharper spike at the point the ball was next to the edge of the bat. 3:27 for 6 at the end of the over. Dick Weller 91, Pereira 22. The question I put to you though is, it doesn't really matter what we think.
No.
Would the third umpire have felt obliged to overturn the not-out decision on the basis of that evidence?
Well,
there was
quite a sort of like a regular sort of peaks and troughs on the snickometer there, but then as the ball passed the outside edge, as you say, they went doink and a big long one appeared. So
a shard
of spikiness. I reckon that he would have had to give that out. Oh, it'd be terrible. I'm glad they didn't really have it sometimes. If I'd have got a wicket and then no one had reviewed it, or we hadn't have heard it,
you'd just never have let them know the last of it, would you?
I'd never been able to live with myself.
No, or the captain.
No, that's right.
The argument would have continued long into the night.
Or it would have done. We could have come to blows, especially if I'm going, no, it's out. You know what I mean? You go, no, Phil. And then you get the message from the dressing room. Yeah, it was out.
Oh, that would have sent you berserk.
Oh, seething.
I think we're going to let you go. Hopefully you can actually get on with organising the food, because this has gone on long enough, quite frankly. We're starving here. Right, so poor old Jack Leach, he's had a luckless innings. He has beaten the bat a few times, and he's had Pereira in a bit of bother, and he probably would have had him out there on referral. But as I say, I think the previous referral sort of spooked them. You lose a referral and then you think, I don't want to burn another. Butler was fairly convinced, Leach was fairly convinced. They talked themselves out of it. Anyway, Leach is into Dick Weller, who's in the 90s, and he's paddle sweeps a full ball from outside off stump, fine and in controlled fashion. That's been the signature of this terrific innings from Dick Weller. It's the 92. Hello, says Steve Crocs. He sends us an email. He says, day 10 of quarantining. Day 10 of 16 quarantining here in a Bangkok hotel. That's longer than normal 14. I'll come back to it in a moment as Leach bowls a shorter ball punched off the back foot by Pereira into the covers. Can't beat the infield. There's no run. He says, match timings are perfect for me here, starting at 11:15. Lucky you. The only contact I've had since I've been here is with the nurse who made a normal-sized cotton bud as Pereira comes forward in defence, pushes back up the wicket, no run, disappear up my nose, then retrieve like a magic trick. Well, we've seen that happen to Tuffers today already, and we've seen it happen to Alistair Cook, who's just joined me.
Do you say good afternoon now for the second session?
Outside the off stump, left alone by Pereira, and there's no run. None of us know. I think it's still the morning here. We need to let our listeners be situated in our time, their time, but be mindful of the fact that the glorious sunshine is beating down on a Gaul afternoon as Pereira goes back into his crease and just guides this very nicely down to the boundary. It's going to go all the way for 4. The outfield certainly quickened up, and he did nothing more really than wait for it and time it, let the ball hit the bat, just guide it past the right hand of root at slip. And picked up a boundary, 332 for 6. These are testing moments here for England after lunch. They've burned a review, a poor one for an LBW, and then they've not reviewed when it looks like Pereira did get an edge through to Butler's gloves. It would have been Leach's first wicket. The first wicket to spin. The ball's starting to turn. 2 set batsmen threatening to take the game away from England here. Leach round the wicket, full. Forward comes Pereira, who's faced 102 balls now in his 26. He came in, well, it seems like an age ago now. It was around about 4:50 our time at the end of the 92nd over, 4th over of the day, when the debutant Romesh Mendis was caught down the leg side by Butler diving to his left off wood for a duck. And since then, Dick Weller and Pereira have added 89 runs. Alistair.
You're right, it is testing times, especially when the word gets back to them about that review and they know they could have had a wicket. Sorry, I've just seen your cup. Brilliant. And just when the word gets back to what surprises me about that, the one they didn't review, is how convinced Joe Root was when it happened. Absolutely, like he was jumping up and down, like desperate for the umpire to give it out, and then, as you said, for some reason spoken out of it. But
is it the sort of proximity of the previous review? You know,
I think you hit the nail right on the head there. I think they thought if they hadn't reviewed the one before, they definitely would have reviewed that just because they hadn't had a chance. And then you're right, I think they just thought, it's another 50-50 call. It's not worth the risk.
But you know, listeners will be thinking, well, they get an extra review here because of COVID times, and we've got non-neutral umpire standing, so they've got 3 instead of 2. As Anderson is in over the wicket, the left-handed Dick Weller, who defends straight to that short mid-off Johnny Bairstow, who's advanced about 4 or 5 yards from the non-striker. And so you might they might be thinking, well, in that case, you sort of ignore that first review and say, well, if you've got 2 and you've still got 2 intact and you've got 6 wickets down.
They are very hard. They are very hard to get right. I found when I was captain is trying to take the emotion out of it, because you're in the game, you're in the battle, you're in the heat of the moment.
Anderson is in, and that's hit off the back foot, pushed to cover point where Best fields, and there's no run.
And you've got so many emotions going through your head and also the bowler's head. You know, he could be desperate for a wicket. He hasn't had one. You know, he could have had, you know, a couple of catches dropped off him, quite likely if I was fielding at slip. But you know, that kind of feeling that you do get desperate, or you do it out of frustration. So actually trying to think calmly there when everyone's got an opinion. You got someone at short leg who says, I heard something. You got then someone shouts extra cover. No, I didn't hear everything, hit his pad. You got so many different things going on, and such a short, you know, the 15 seconds feels so long when we're sitting here, but actually there it goes really quickly.
Anderson into Dick Weller, who drives straight to Johnny Bairstow, who's close in. There's another, and then so that happens, and you can very, very quickly confuse yourself about making the decision. So I learned as I was captaining that what I would do is I'd quickly ask, you know, the key person, say if it was the bowler or if it's Nick behind, what do you think? And if no one was totally sure, I'd go on my gut instinct. Anderson in, driven in the air, and it's taken. Dick Weller's gone for 92. Anderson has his 5th wicket. It was full and wide, and Dick Weller's driven at it. It's the first really injudicious shot he's played in this whole innings, and you have to feel for him. A good diving catch at wide mid-off. Diving two-handed. It's Anderson again. Can you believe it? 7th wicket to go down to seam, and it's a sharp catch by Leach. Diving away to his right. He's quite wide at mid-off. And Dick Weller, having reached for that, the ball wasn't quite there for the drive, but he was unlucky. Another half yard, it would have run away to the boundary for 4. Instead, he's got to go for 92. The agony for Dick Weller continues. Caught Leach off the bowling of Anderson. England have finally broken this partnership. Sri Lanka 332 for 7.
So played for and got eventually. You know, that they've been all day. They've been toying with that plan. It's, you know, the 7-2 field, hanging it out there for Dick Weller to play the cover drive, to try and, you know, sliding off the faces back to gully. You know, one of those short catches, and actually this is kind of caught wideish mid off. A good catch actually going to his wrong hand by Jack Leach, who's obviously bowling at the other end. So it's cost him a few runs to get that wicket, because actually Dick Weller played so controlled and probably within himself. The only time in this innings, probably with the sight of that finally breaking his duck or getting his maiden 100, just got excited and thought, I can't resist another ball from James Anderson out there, and he'll be kicking himself because he could have just milked Jack Leach the other end and just played out Jimmy. What was this, his 3rd or 4th over he's been going, so he would have come off, you know, probably one more, but he's played really well. But James Anderson, 30th 5-wicket haul, and one of his best in these conditions.
Oh, I've seen the replay from behind the stumps, and it's clever bowling. It's out there. It's just not quite full enough for that drive, but it's full enough to tempt the drive. And you've got to give really good credit to Leach. He moved sharply to his right, and he didn't go one-handed. He went with both hands for safety, and he got to it. It was a good bit of athleticism from the left arm spinner. And poor old Dick Weller, he's got a grimace on his face as he walks off. 92.
Yeah, but I think what that's just shown Dick Weller, if he plays like that again, with that amount of control, restraint, and skill, he will get that 100. He just there, and that's the first time I've really watched him bat like that. You know, we've always been thinking, there'll be a rash shot in there, he'll do something silly. Actually, if he can rein that in and play in that controlled manner, there's a lot more test runs for him to go. He's a very experienced player now. It's in his 40th game. I feel that could be a little breakthrough moment in his career.
It's a breakthrough moment for England as well, though, and back in this game they'll be looking to wrap up the tail as Lakmal, the new batsman, comes in, stands tall and defends his first delivery up to mid-off. 332 for 7. The door is open, and it might change the way Pereira bats as well. I'm going to hand over to Aggers very shortly at the end of this over. Before I do, I just want to allow you to finish off your thinking on referrals, and just want to put one thing out there. Is it a bit different because it's Jack Leach as opposed to a really experienced bowler? You know, if you've got Stuart Broad in your ear saying refer that, whereas Jack Leach doesn't have the same seniority, perhaps. Does that play any part? No, it shouldn't. That's driven away into the gully, and Anderson's got his 6th. Lakmal's got to go off his 2nd ball. Anderson picks up another, and suddenly England are running through Sri Lanka here, and it's Anderson again, 6 for 38. Lakmal's got to go for a duck. He's just the most extraordinary cricketer, Jimmy Anderson. Whenever he's been bowling, England have looked dangerous and threatening, and when he hasn't, Sri Lanka have really been able to dig in. But he's got 2 breakthroughs in this over. Lakmal, a loose shot, driving away from his body, flat-footed, big outside edge, well taken sharply in the gully, and that is 6. I'm shaking my head. I think Anderson's best figures, Andy, are 7 for, aren't they?
So I'm going to go
Yes.
7 for. Oh God, can I guess it?
Go on then.
Is it 7 for? It's either 42 or 47. I'm going to go 42 because he's against New Zealand at Trent Bridge. That's what I'm going for. Could he get
It's
it at goal?
It's 7 for 42, but it was not against. He had 7 for 43 against New Zealand, which for a long
Touchdown.
time was his best. 7 for 42 was against West Indies at Lords. I'm just trying to find the.
So what we're saying here, is that it's not beyond the bounds of possibility with 2 wickets left to fall that Jimmy Anderson could have his best bowling figures in a Test match at Gaul. Jonathan Agnew,
Yeah.
did you imagine that would be the case for a man who's taken over 600 Test wickets?
Well, it's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, you just got to marvel at the skill, and particularly that dismissal of Dick Weller. The field, I mean, you can't possibly say that, caught mid-off sounds a bit fluky, but look at the field, look at the plan, look at everything that was set, and Dick Weller fell for it. And on a flat pitch, that's the way you prize people out. So great credit there to everyone who came up with that plan. And I'm afraid it also gives us a lot of credit to Dick Weller for falling for it, because there's nothing better when you produce a cunning plan and it works. As a captain, as a bowler, you just puff your chest out a bit, because I thought of that all the way through, and of course there you go. Aren't I clever? But that was perfect, absolutely perfect. The field, the ball, the width of the ball, and Jack Leach's very good catch too. So always round, it's all hotting up rather nicely. I was looking at the fifers, because we were anticipating, of course, that he would get his 30th. Off the top of your head, is Cookie still there?
I'm still here. I guess I was just.
Who do you
listening
think
to
tops? Who do you think tops the list of fifers in Test cricket? You'll get the person, but how many fifers do you think?
Well,
In goes Leach, and he bowls. That's been lofted over the top by Pereira, and in fact all the way over the top. I think the 4th umpire's having a look there as the ball goes into the covers, and indeed confirmed as a 6. Fine shot too, effortless down the pitch, has lofted it away. 338 for 8.
right. Well, we'll go back to the
Fifers.
fifers. Well, it's got to be Mullaritha. It has to be.
Correct. So Jimmy's got 30,
He's.
and I think Jimmy's 5th.
Well, I'm going to go for. I think, is it something ridiculous like 78?
Almost.
I knew
67.
I mean, it is ridiculous, isn't it?
It is ridiculous. It's absolutely incredible. But you got Warren and Co in there, obviously, but McGrath, I think. But in goes Leach, bowls and pushed away off the front foot in a defensive way this time. Of course, part of the reason that is that Murali was by himself, wasn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
Murali's bowled all the time. Whereas people like Anderson have had Broad and Warren's had McGrath, and you can see why it was split up a little. But 67 5-wicket hauls. Here's Leach round the wicket, a little bit of spin there. A stroke from Pereira.
The one thing Jimmy, like, I don't know, it's like I always thought Dale Steyn was got a lot of fifers, but he picked up, he picked up the lower order very well. Dale Steyn, like he's, that extra yard of pace, which those kind of bowlers have, just I think gave them advantage towards, as you would know, coming
Definitely.
in at 9, 10, 11.
Here's Leach, a low full toss, clubbed back at him, and he's able to field that off his own bowling. It's amazing what a nasty one round your nose does.
Yeah, and Jimmy didn't quite have that.
No.
Doesn't quite have, especially certainly in the slightly later stage of Chris. Actually, he's had to work harder for his fifers. I always think
That's a good point.
It'd be interesting to see if he's taken a higher percentage of top order wickets than other seamers.
The defensive shot. Well, I think as a classic quick bowler's fifer, you'd reckon on maybe getting 2 of the top 4 out, come back for another spell, get 1 in the middle, and then come back and get 10 and 11. That would be sort of a fairly classic looking fifer, isn't it? 338 for 8, and that's Pereira coming down the pitch and flicking the ball away to mid-wicket. They'll only get 1, but that will keep him the strike at 339 for 8. Ebudenya yet to face a ball. Pereira is on 33, but those plans, I mean, you obviously know Anderson so well. Is that an Anderson? Would that have been an Anderson plan?
Well,
to have all the men on the drive, mid off where he was, or would it have been a route plan?
Well, I mean, we saw Mark Wood this morning come over the wicket and try and do it to Dick Weller. They obviously had they had a change of tactics to him. They bowled a majority around the wicket yesterday, coming back in trying to stop him scoring. They all have come over the wicket today. Really, majority of the balls have come over the wicket. But the difference with that field is it was 7-2. So they had more catches in. So they had the umbrella field. You kind of had almost 3 catches, on the short, in the, almost within the 1 day 15-yard kind of catching theory. You have to have when you're young, and then you had the other 2 in those gaps on the 30-yard circle. And it went to the Jack Leach on the edge of the 30-yard circle. So that was the one difference. That would have been a lunchtime check. We'll go 7-2 to him and really stop him towards going towards his 100.
Anderson's taken 6 for 38. It's on his way and bowls a bouncer. And Pereira bobs his head underneath it. Andy.
Stat just flashed up on the television. Anderson, the oldest seam bowler to take a 5-for in a test in Asia, overtaking the record of Richard Hadley, who was 37. Anderson is 38. He's only the 7th seam bowler to take a 6-for in Sri Lanka. Ravi Ratnayaka in 1985, Waka Yunus, Mohammed Asif, Mitchell Stark in a fine series in 2016, Nuwan Pradeep and Chaminda Vas had 5.
Then goes Anderson and bowls into Pereira forward. What a great match Randy Caddick is having, by the way, because not only has he had Joe Root waving at him when he got his double 100, but of course, as is the way when you get a 5-for, you show the ball to the crowd, and there was a lovely shot there of the only crowd there is Randy up there on the fort, and so Jimmy Anderson's waved the ball at him and saluted him as well. So he's having all sorts of personal tributes paid to him for what he's done, which is great to have stuck it out and waited for this test series. Then goes Anderson again, bowls, and that's driven, didn't quite get his foot to that, but it's got sliced away through point, and will pick up 1 run. So Ibaldenia will come down on strike. So what a game he's having up there on the ramparts anyway. But a personal wave from the England captain, and now another one from Jimmy Anderson as well. 340 for 8. I think the best cunning plan I can remember seeing an England captain pull off. I won't be able to remember I can't remember who it was, the batsman or the game, but it was Nasser Hussain at Trent Bridge. And we always rather like a fly slip, don't we? It's something you very rarely see. Not a third man, not a slip, somewhere in between, sort of no man's land. Nasser set one, and sure enough, really quite quickly, catch straight to him. And that was it. And as a captain, it must be a brilliant feeling, just a bit of an instinctive thing.
I wouldn't know.
I'm sure you must have had a cunning plan somewhere. But this was such an obvious spur of the moment thought. Okay, let's try that. And this was in the days before ramp shots and that sort of thing, So that was a good one. 340 for 8. Ibaldenia's first ball. Anderson goes round the wicket to him. His left-handed, that hits him in a nasty place. Oh dear. And he's heading off to go and think about that a moment. He's sunk to his knees.
Talk about cunning, Aggers. It was in exactly the same stint as I was yesterday, and that's when the fox was wandering across the outfield. And I've just been appearing, wonder whether it is on his morning routine that he walks across the oval. I haven't seen him yet. The birds have been scattering, but
we'll keep an eye open.
Well, I'm trying to.
Are those pigeons there? They're usually there at the oval.
No, we're seagulls. Seagulls, and the odd pigeon just comes past the commentary box and they have a little perch just next to us.
Now there's some protective equipment being brought out here. I think Crawley has asked for the helmet. It looks like he's going to go into short leg for Ibaldenia, who didn't play that short ball very well from Anderson. I mean, it wasn't the quickest ball Anderson would have bowled in his life, and he's tired and he's been obviously flogging away, but it was all too much for the number 10. He's got a nasty bruise there. 340 for 8. Crawley's coming in right behind him there at short leg. It'll give them 10 something to think about.
There's a good chance for Jimmy to get 8, isn't it?
Yes, there is. Because Fernando can't bat. 340 for 8. Ibaldenia waits, and a little tempter there from Anderson outside the off stump, saying, go on, I've just softened you up, now you have a drive at that one. But to be fair, Ibaldenia, who was the night watchman in the first test, allowed that to go through to Joss Butler. 340 for 8. really interesting day's cricket again, with wickets and then that very good stand between Dick Weller and Pereira. It was worth 89, but that's over. Root's got a smile on his face. The pitch not misbehaving too much at the moment. And Anderson bowls. Oh, he fell for it that time. Wide half volley. And he missed that. Eyes lit up. And he's giving himself quite a talking to, isn't he, there? Here's a number 10. But, good sucker punch there from Jimmy Anderson. 6 for 39 from 28 overs. 13 maidens. So that's more than any of the others put together. That's bowled more overs. Anyway, Bleachers bowled 34, Best 24, Wood 21. Cameron's bowled 16.
I don't think when Jimmy knew he was playing the game, he'd thought he'd have bowled 28 overs.
No. They were dining out on this for a long time, I suspect.
You mean we weren't here at the end of it?
I think you might need to avoid him for a little while, especially if he gets his best here. It's brilliant effort. Absolutely brilliant effort. He's just had, there's nothing here for him at all, and Gall is just a quick bowler's graveyard.
That's his second five for here.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I think in 2007 when we played here, it was really. It wasn't out. He didn't get a five for there, but it was really damp actually the first morning, and it did genuinely seem quite a lot. Almost took chunks out of the wicket. It was that wet.
Now this is Leach bowling outside the off stump to the right-handed Pereira.
I still think they got 500, but the first hour or so it did genuinely nip. I think is it Van Dort? I think.
Oh yes.
I think he got
He was a big lad, wasn't he?
Yeah.
This is flogged away into the leg side, and is he going for 4? It is going for 4. Van Dort. I think didn't Van Dort score a big? Did he get 100 at Lords? Or am I completely making that up?
No, maybe I'm making up. He got 100 at Gaul, but you're right. He got one at. Was it? It might have been Trembridge. He got one.
He got one. I think he got one in England because we got very excited because of course Van Dort is a burger, hence the name, because he's from sort of German descent, and very, very tall. 344 for 8. Moves in bowls. He's down the pitch now. He's mistimed that horribly, but got it away. Sort of scrubbing it away into the leg side, but he was trying to hit him more aggressively than that. But he picks up one. He's got the numbers 10 and 11 to keep company, so he might as well try and get what he can. 345 for 8.
Do you think this is a par score, Aggers? Do you think this is?
No, I don't.
You think it's below par?
Yeah, I do. Don't you?
Yeah, maybe
7 for 2. You sort of think, okay, they've done well to get to this, but
yeah.
I think you'd want 400, wouldn't you, batting first? If they started again.
Yeah, but I think they definitely would have had the best of the conditions by quite a long way to bat.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued to see how the Sri Lankan spinners actually go on it.
Leach and Aberdeen is forward. He'll be one of those. He bowled very well in the first test.
When they're a bit fresh, obviously Leach is into his 35th over, and that does take something out of you, doesn't it? You don't quite have the same amount of revs and energy on the ball.
Leach again floating it up. He's still wicketless.
But I think if you're an England batsman now, you'll be desperate for these last 2 and just get in. And if anyone gets in on if Joe Root gets it in again on this kind of wicket, there is no demons.
Leach again turn round the corner. Aberdeen still can't get his first run.
It's just starting to turn a little bit more, isn't it? But nothing
out of that rough, perhaps.
Yeah, but nothing like it will scare you. So if you get in there, you'd want to get your spikes in there and just get your claws into that wicket and say, I'm not leaving here. I think just maybe because we're so far away, it's really hard to judge, isn't it? Like Joe Root, I spoke to him last night. He said this is a flat wicket. So I think that's what they're feeling. It is a flat wicket. Someone can get in. They could go real big. But because it's so hard to feel that, isn't it, when you're sitting in your house and I'm at the Oval looking at a green seamer out there in January. So without being there and actually getting the actual feel of the ground.
Yeah.
But it feels right. It feels if it's below par, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But you're right. You don't get a sense of the game.
No.
sort of really into it, and that what the captains are thinking, the field placings. It's like a chessboard, isn't it? A field placing. You can see what's going on. But 3:45 for 8. We might get some Van Dort information here. Where did he get his 100?
He got 100 in Colombo in that series in 2007-8, and at Birmingham in 06.
Oh, it's Birmingham. Here's Anderson bringing Pereira forward. Play that to point. How many test matches did he play in then?
20 tests, average just under 37 with 4 centuries, so a decent record. Sri Lankan batting was rather stronger then. But on Anderson, it's the 8th sixfer by an England seam bowler in Asia. There have only been 2 7-fers. John Lever 7 for 46 in Delhi in 1976, and Ian Botham when he took 13 in the match, 7 for 48 in the second innings in Mumbai in 1980.
Goes Anderson, bowls. That's pushed away out to cover, and there's no run. I was looking up the Burger people, because I think this is the only Burger I wanted to have played Test cricket. They're a Eurasian ethnic group. They're in Sri Lanka, a very small group, descend from Portuguese, Dutch, and British actually, and obviously on their travels around the world at the time. But Netherlands there as well, so it's interesting to see. But I think he might be. In goes Anderson, and that's pushed away by Pereira. What a single! Embledon is very slow setting off there. A little bit startled to see his colleague dashing up the pitch shouting run. Maybe he thought it was a bit early in the over for that, because Pereira's given away the strike.
That was almost Jimmy, like, because it went straight back to James, and he kind of just passed it away. And normally he's so miserly with his runs, he'd have got quite angry if someone else given a single. However, I don't think he's too bothered bowling at the other guy, the number 10, and Videla, rather than Pereira, who's actually played very sensibly. He just tried to flick he actually just tried to grab it and flick it onto stump to see if Videla was out of his crease, but he wasn't. So I don't think he's that unhappy.
I found another one, Graham LeBroy. He was he's a Burger. Of course, remember his name, don't we? This is pushed away down to backward point by Embledon, and there's no run. There's Michael van Dort. Angelo Matthews. There you are. He's a Burger. 3:46 for 8.
And we've just been told food is 6 minutes away. Actually.
Oh, is it?
Excitement levels.
That's a bit late for you. I thought you were normally 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we are, but we've had issues. Have you had yours yet?
No. I'm about to get the walk out. 3:46 for 8. In goes Anderson, bowls, and bouncer down the leg side, and Embledon is underneath it. And there's no run. I think I've been thwarted by the Today programme in this segment, so coming up, it'll be on hold, I think. Were you waving there, Andy? No.
There's also a chance if Anderson takes one more wicket, he'll have the best figures by a seamer in Sri Lanka, currently held. Dutchman Vars had 2 7-fers, but more expensive than Anderson would finish up with here, most likely.
Last ball of the over. Anderson on his way, bowls wide outside the off stump. There's that swish again. He's luring him, and he's smiling. Anderson. That's 3 now. His bowl out there. 2 Embledon has had a go at. 1 he did manage to restrain himself, but lovely bowling. At a tail ender, he was telling himself, "Oh, I've got a man not out, 40 not out at the other end. I've got to behave myself." 3:46 for 8 then, and let's see how many James Anderson ends up with in this innings. More from Alistair Cook. Looking forward to his breakfast, and Simon Mann.
Yeah, it's been a good little session for England after lunch, as Mickey Arthur finally appears on the screen. And Mickey Arthur camera, it seems to be back, isn't it, Simon?
Yeah, there was no Mickey Cam yesterday. It was almost as if it had been banned. If he'd said, no, I'm not being either deep in the dressing room watching it on TV, or they said, please don't focus on him as much. And in fact, there was very little focus on him yesterday. If there had been, he'd been smiling, because it was a decent day for Sri Lanka, and they've made reasonable progress today, and they are right in this game. Here is Leach bowling, and Pereira on the back foot plays defensively back up the offside of the pitch. It is a slow pitch. The ball is beginning to turn, and Sri Lanka close on 350 runs in that bank. And Pereira's played well. He's 40 not out. Leach goes in and bowls to him. And he plays defensively to that one as well. Some slow turn from Leach, no more than that. Played away into the offside. Another dot ball. Leach, that was only 50 miles an hour, that ball. He's gone for Gallen, Leach. Went for 109 in the 36th over. Leach bowls. Forward goes Pereira. Plays that away on the offside, and there's no run. Sri Lanka just need to squeeze out as many as they possibly can. I like Pereira still there. They have got something to work with in this tail. Something for Embledenia and to Fernando to play for. There's hands on his knees at slip, takes them off as Leach goes in and bowls to Pereira, who plays defensively again into the offside. And there's no running. They've been out in this field for the 126th over on a sunny day in Gaul. Sun beaming down. 3:46 for 8. Good start from England. 2 quick wickets lately. Here is Leach. Pereira right over it, playing to extra cover. And there is no runs. 1 ball left in the over. Of course, England much prefer to be bowling at Embledenia if they possibly can. You might watch from the last game. He played a very loose shot. The field's come up to keep Pereira on strike. I say the field's come up. Still a long on, long off in. Could go deep mid-wicket. Goes back there to a ball outside the off stump. Guides it away to cover. Leach didn't give him the opportunity to slog sweep there. So that is the end of the over. 346 for 8. The 4th umpire is making his way out with some bananas for the standing umpires and some drinks as well. So drinks midway through the afternoon session on this second day. Sir Alistair Cook has gone for his breakfast. Michael Vaughan is alongside me. It's not great planning from the Oval team, is it? I mean, you are allowed to go to the shops and buy something to bring to the ground. Rather than rely on whoever's going to deliver it to you.
Yes.
Your rumbling stomach, you can...
Yeah. Southerners for you, Simon.
Need some
Southerners for you. Oh, you're from down there, aren't you? Sorry.
Yeah, a bit of planning, that's what you need.
Yeah, that's what happens up north, isn't it? You work your day, you bring your eggs in. Ham chunks, got a few ham chunks. I've had my salmon.
No, I'm not sure that's great planning, though.
Well, no, that's a nice mixed breakfast. Had a bar of something earlier when we arrived at 4:30. You're right though, this game's on. I mean, 3:46 on a flat wicket. You just know in these parts of the world that the pitch will go. You know, it's very rare that you get a pitch in the subcontinent that by day 3.5, 4, it doesn't start to really spin and those footholds will develop. So Sri Lanka are right in this test match. England will know that they're going to have to bat very, very well in that first innings. Going to have to get at least a similar score, you would feel, to the first innings that they got in the first test. And that will only give them a lead of 70 odd if they did.
George Topel, who works for Crick Info, as he might be rattling a few cages. He said, by the way, Anderson now, and I mean right now, a boundary could change it, has a lower bowling average in Asia than Kapil Dev. He says might not check the replies to this tweet.
Yeah, he's bowled beautifully, hasn't he? I mean, 6 for in these conditions. Slight concern that the spinners have not picked up a wicket yet. Obviously, Jack Leach would have got one if it had not burnt a review the over before where they went for an LBW with the ball pitching outside the leg stump by, what do you reckon, 2 inches?
That was a terrible review, wasn't it? I mean, you could just give it not out for, I mean, so obviously not out. Here is there's a replay. Just going through Anderson's 6 wickets. He's taken 6 for 40 from 29 overs. They are incredible figures. They really are. And Alan Hall on my Twitter feed says, can Jimmy bowl spin? He should try his hand at it. I'm sure he'd be our best spinner when he's finished fast bowling.
He tries his hand at left arm spin in the nets.
Jimmy, does he?
Yeah, he can bowl left arm tweak. I wouldn't say he lands them all the time, but he gives it a go. Like Jofra Archer, he has a go at left arm spin.
What are the combined spin figures? Andy, Bess and Leach in this match. I mentioned that Leach has gone for a gallon.
Well, 60 overs they've bowled, I can work that out. No wickets for 184 if my maths is correct.
God, you're making me feel redundant, Michael.
I like your screenshot behind you. What was that? Dumb Summoner. Is that a nice?
Yes, that's what I cooked during the lunch break.
Yeah, clever. Like that. I do things like that.
Colleague.
Can you bowl some left arm spin, Andy? I mean, you can score, you're a comedian, you present the news quiz, you're TMS statistician, you can knock yourself up some dim sum in the lunch interval. Can you bowl some left arm spin or some off breaks? Or actually some leg breaks? How about some leg breaks?
I can do all of those things, Simon, but I do them, certainly the bowling bit, extremely badly.
Right,
I'm equally incompetent with both arms, but I have taken a wicket with both arms in a village match once in the same game.
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Can you explain this a bit more, Andy? I mean, you can't just... What were you bowling?
Well, I started off bowling right arm dob, and then I switched to left arm dob, and I got a wicket with each arm.
Standard must have been good.
Well,
where were they caught? Deep mid wicket?
I can't. It's just look at the scorebook. If it still exists, it was a long time ago.
Right. Okay. It's going to be Mark Wood. I thought it must be Mark Wood time, really. With Embledenia out there. He's taking 2 for 65. We've had the remarkable situation here where all the wickets in Sri Lanka's innings fall to pace. Wood goes in, bowls Embledenia, inevitably gets the bouncer first up. Embledenia sensed it was coming. Well, we've ducks underneath it.
We're very fortunate here in the Strictly production office in Manchester Media City, because we have the Sri Lanka test match. Obviously I've got the smaller screen, being the junior pro. You have the huge screen in front of you, Sam, but also in the distance we have a bit of the Big Bash on. It's Jason Roy and Liam Livingston just strolled out for the Scorchers against the Stars in Melbourne. Big Billy Stanlake steaming in. We saw Alex Hales yesterday produce 100. We'll see something similar from this English pair today.
Here is Wood bowling to Embledenia, who's right back into his stumps there, playing defensively into the offside. You can follow the Big Bash scores on the website if you want to do so, and we'll be bringing you the knockout matches in the Big Bash, which start on the 29th of January. They pretty much start at 8:15 in the morning. So there we go. There's the date for you. Brisbane have won today against the Melbourne Renegades, who had a shocking time of it. So the Big Bash knockout matches, final on the 6th of February, all on 5 Live Sports Extra, BBC Sounds and the BBC Sport website. Here is Wood, and Wood goes in and bowls to Embledenia. It's a short ball, and Embledenia ducks underneath it, and it's through to the keeper. And there are people out there chanting, "Well, Big Bash, why are we covering that?" Well, we have a contract. The BBC has a contract with Cricket Australia to cover all cricket in Australia. That's why we were able to bring you the Australia-India series, and that is why we will be bringing you the Ashes next winter as well. So all cricket from Australia. We also brought you the Women's Big Bash back in the autumn time as well.
That was right. Aggers at lunch said about the Ashes being pushed back a bit, so not as early a start as normal.
3:46 for 8. Here is Embledenia yet to score, faces Wood. Wood bowls very full, dug out into the offside towards extra cover, and there's no run. So what are the proposed revised dates?
I think he said December the 8th, maybe the first.
Right, because the first test normally starts on about the 24th, 25th of November, sometime around there. So will that change the configuration of Sydney and Melbourne and things like that?
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd think that I don't know how they'd work that out. You generally go, Brisbane to Adelaide to Perth. Will they have enough time to do that before Melbourne on the 26th? I don't think they will.
Probably not, no. Wood bowls, Embledenia's beaten. That was a quick delivery outside the off stump, and Embledenia was slow on it. Fortunately for him, it was wide of off stump. I thought it was a bit quicker as well. Yeah, the quickest ball that Wood bowled in the over. It looks slippery, even on television. It's the one thing actually television coverage has never been able to do, I think, and that is to show how fast the bowling is. When you watch it from one end to the other, it never looks quite as quick as it actually is when you're out in the middle facing it. Well,
it's the same if you go to a ground. If you watch the game from side on, it looks so much quicker than if you're from behind the bowler's arm or behind the batter.
It's 90 miles an hour from Wood, who goes in now, bowls to Embledenia, and Embledenia squeezes his bat down on a very full delivery into the offside towards cover, and there's no run. It's something I talked to Simon Hughes about, and who's worked a lot in television. He talked about it, he said, I agree, I mean, we've tried, there's no ways of, we're trying to think about ways of showing it, but it's not always easy to get that over to the viewer. 3:46 for 8.
I think Zoltz wants to say something. I can see him with his microphone.
Just quickly on Anderson's spell, either side of lunch, 10 overs, 3 for 16 So yeah, 6 for 40 from 29 in all. And away from home, there's talk about him being less effective away from home than in England, and he has been less effective, but still a very fine bowler away from home. In his last 14 tests, 49 wickets at 23.7 away from home. That's since December 2017 overall, 222 at 31, but since 2010 he's averaging 27 outside England.
Well, he's picked up 3 more wickets today. Wood's picked up 1, so it's 6 Anderson, 2 Wood. Matthews out for 110 early on. England made a great start, and then they got rid of Mendes for 0 as well, and then the partnership, Dick Weller out for 92 and Lackmar for 0. So a wicket of a set batsman, and then the new batsman comes in, gets out for 0. It's been the pattern of the day. Pereira's on 40, so he's the set batsman at the moment. It's outside the off stump, it's thrashed away off the back foot towards deep extra cover. England have a sweeper. It's Sibley, who'll be beginning to think about batting.
Oh, he would have been thinking about batting all night.
Yeah.
Never mind this morning, you'd be thinking, right, how many hours left in the day? What kind of time frame will I have to play and bat today? He's got to somehow work his technique to get in against the left arm spinner. I'm very interested to see if there's been a technical change or a mindset change. We'll have to wait and see. They're both he and Zach Crawley, actually. Crawley made a couple of mistakes.
Leach bowls, and forward comes Embledenius shuffling down the pitch, pushes it back to the bowler. I just thought for a moment there Butler was in with a stumping chance, because Embledenius came a long way and then had to reach for it.
Still on 0, 16 balls faced.
He's got that leg trap, a leg slip and a short leg and a slip as well. Leach bowls to Embledenius, who's back there playing defensively into the onside.
Hello.
Just a bit of grip.
Just a bit. Just starting. You can see those footholds just starting to develop.
3, 4, 7 for 8. Leach, 37th over, bowls to Embledenius, hammers this away into the leg side, slog sweep, done enough of blocking, and might have gone for 6. We'll wait for the signal from the umpire. There we go. Yeah, both arms raised. It was up there and lifted away by Embledenius with plenty of bottom hand.
Yeah, tremendous lap slog hitting with the spin. It's to play this shot, that's exactly the line you wait for, the one outside off stump, so you can kind of release your arms and just go with it. Tremendous strike.
You can also get your pad outside the line of off stump if you wish as well, so if you miss it, it strikes the pad and you can't be out LBW because you're playing a shot. But you're relying really on your eye and your hand-eye coordination there. Leach bowls, and Embledenius comes forward and pushes that back down the pitch, and there's no run. Everything gratefully received here from Sri Lanka. Just bat out, just keep going, wear the pitch out a bit, as many runs as they possibly can. Try to make it into a 4th innings game, where they're battling to survive. Leach bowls, Embledenius right back into his stumps there and gets the bat down just in time. And pushes it towards short leg, and there's no run. 353 for 8 at the end of the 128th over, and on Sri Lanka goes. England pick up 2 quick wickets and then find a bit of resistance. That's the pattern of the day.
Yeah, you mentioned, obviously runs are very important for Sri Lanka, but time, you just bat as long as you can in the first things to do. You wear the pitch down in these kind of conditions. To be honest, Zoltz, when you picked up the microphone and told us about Jimmy's 3 for since lunch, I think that the listeners were very disappointed they didn't give more information about those 2 wickets. I thought you were going to give us a proper kind of
the left arm,
left arm, right arm. Yeah, I was very surprised that there was a bit more information about it. I mean, who were you bowling to? Were they 3 years of age or what kind of?
Well, I mean, generally, most of my wickets in village cricket, the batsmen were, in the age bracket below 14 or over 70. They're not. I got Ben Hutton out once.
Did you?
Yeah, with a full toss that landed on top of his off stump. He tried to hit it into a field.
Surely that's a no ball, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it was in those days. It was a long time ago. He was about 14.
Well, it looped over his head.
Well, it just sort of dropped down. I think the days before waist-high full toss was a no ball, but Hutton bowled Zoltzman. There it is, in the scorebook.
Yeah, it could be any Hutton, couldn't it?
We're getting into Bill Frindle territory now. He liked to tell us about his first-class wickets, or wickets of first-class cricketers. I think he might have even got a few Test cricketers out, actually, Bill. He loved it. He loved bowling, Bill. He loved his cricket. He loved to play.
Not a bad one to get, though, is it? A Hutton?
No.
Have you got anyone out, Simon, in your side? What do you bowl?
Ebony Rainford Brent.
Oh,
I've
you
got
did.
I've got a test cricketer out.
You did for me, didn't you? I was a skipper.
Yeah.
Did for Ebs.
Ebony ended up with a backside in the air on her back, trying to slog me out the ground. Probably the right way to play.
And you saw us home at the end, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tremendous all-round performance.
They brought on a slow left-arm pie bowler at the end.
Yeah,
didn't they? 353 for 8. Here's Wood bowling to Pereira, who clips that through mid-wicket for a couple of runs. Lawrence is after it. Pereira moves to 43, 355 for 8.
The camera's just panned in on Randy Caddick, the England supporter, on top of the fort. And it's been a very similar sight. It's kind of the modern era summed up in one picture of an England supporter, the sole England supporter.
isn't it? Yeah.
He's under an umbrella and he's just on his phone all the time. Or he's just texting all day. Where's he singing in his enthusiasm? It's almost as if it's like communicating that he's supporting by, I don't know, he's sending messages.
The lone watch on the fort, 355 for 8. Pereira rather gets the bat down just in time to a straight ball from Wood, knocks it into the onside.
His shirts have been very similar to a Dan Norcross style shirt, very flowery and bright. Randy Caddick's. Not heard much about his DJing, have we?
No.
Maybe still.
Did they bring him together with Andy Caddick on a television programme earlier this week? I think they did. One TV programme. Yeah, right? I think ITV did it. He was on with Piers Morgan, Randy Caddick and Andy Caddick.
What's Andy Caddick doing these days?
355 for 8. Wood bowls short. Pereira ducks underneath it. That's through to Joss Butler's a leg slipping. I don't know. He was trying to looking at flying helicopters.
Let's Google him. Great guy, Andy Caddick. Fix anything. DIY, anything went wrong with your bats or you need something doing in your room.
Computers?
Anything. Absolutely anything.
Marriages?
I want to say he fixes many of those, but
355 for 8. Pereira 43. Wood bowls and it's flicked away. There is a leg slip in, but it was away to his left hand side down towards fine leg. And then Pereira gets away. He's shaking his hand there as if I don't know whether it was the bat to me. Whether the shot jarred his hand. I don't think it took him on the glove. Also, both Pereira and Mbodenya crucial to Sri Lanka's chances in this match with their spin bowling. The last thing they want is to a damaged finger or broken hand. But with Wood steaming in, it's always a possibility. That might be in the back of Mbodenya's mind. But this partnership's worth 24 now. So these two holding England up. It is still basically a good pitch, and the ball was nowhere near turning as much as it did in the first test when England started their first innings. But the difference is Sri Lanka got 200 more runs. Wood bowls, Mbodenya gets the bat down just in time to a straight ball on off stump.
Simon, what have I been saying to you all morning? And what would Jeffrey have been saying to you? Don't judge a pitch
till both teams are batted.
Correct. Now, 356, yeah, it looks flat, but let's be honest, the Sri Lankan spinners will give it more of a rip.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think
Mbodenya's probably more of a threat than we've seen, so...
Yeah. Pressure plays such a big part in cricket, well, all sport really.
You know, you're taking your guard, middle please umpire, with the scoreboard already reading 350 to the opposition and a few more, so it's not easy.
Wood, long straight run, bowls a bouncer, and that strikes Mbodenya on the helmet. I think I heard a helmety sound. Might have been the grill or the actual.
It's not the shoulder. Look at that
bit. Yeah.
Look at the red mark on the shoulder. Is that kind of just glanced off the shoulder onto the helmet?
I've seen the umpire wave the physio on, so he'll have to have a little check here. So he's struck him on the helmet from a short, but he's on his feet and everything. But out comes the physio again. We saw him after lunch helping Dick Weller with some stretching exercise. Might have been a bit of cramp. I know Dick Weller's left us since then, out for 92. It's 356 for 8. Mbodenya has 6. Pereira there on 54.
It's the shoulder.
It is the shoulder, right?
It's that red mark.
There is a red mark on the shoulder. It sounded as though the sound was like a helmet, but anyway, he ducked into it. I suppose the key there is it At least it didn't hit him on the left shoulder or the left glove.
So that's one way of making sure he doesn't bowl.
Yeah. I think, do you know what I think happened there? I think it was shoulder onto helmet, was it? Let's have a look. We're just seeing the replay now. Yes, I thought I heard a helmet sound. It was shoulder deflected onto helmet and it bounced away into the offside. Anyway, there we go. It's Daniel Norcross time.
Thank you, Simon. I heard you giving our poor beleaguered scorer some chip for his bowling.
Well, we weren't. We were praising him.
Well, were you praising him enough? I've been sent a video.
Please.
Zoltzman. Yeah.
Let's have a look.
There's proper moving picture documentary evidence. It was sent to me by I don't know what they're called, managing editor, CEO. They have all these weird titles at one of the country's leading magazines. Who says, "Morning, Daniel." He's enjoying listening. He says Simon and Michael are ribbing Zoltz, and he's having taken wickets with both arms in the same game. He says, "I played a game at Wormsley where in one over he bowled right and left arm, medium and slow." And then sends me a video. I think we were at the festival at Wormsley, Zoltz. Yeah. And there's video evidence of you on Crick Info. Of Zoltzman bowling.
He bowls seam right arm and left arm and slow right arm and left arm.
Yeah, he's multi-talented, is Zoltz, and he's actually a wicket keeper, which is what makes it the strangest thing. Leach is into the right-handed Pereira, who stretches forward and defends into the offside. Leach would have had a wicket already had he referred a little nick from Pereira that went into the gloves of Butler, but he didn't. And as a result, Pereira's still there. The very next over, Anderson got Dick Weller out, so who knows, maybe had Pereira been out, then Dick Weller might not have been out. You never know. Ifs and buts. Down the wicket comes Pereira, hits it in the air, down, sort of shanked it really out to Lawrence at the deep mid-wicket boundary, and they come through for a single, which means Denio will be on strike. He's had just the one scoring shot, but it went for 6 over deep mid-wicket. He's faced 22 deliveries, and Leach just be so keen to get him out. And we're not seeing Bess, Michael, bowling to the left-handed Denio. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of a surprise there. Had him out, didn't he, in the first test when he was night watchman.
Yep.
Straight away the morning after, hit one off the back foot straight to short extra cover. Surely, Dan, you're going to release this video for, it's quite hard on the radio for people to kind of
well, I know.
Get a feel. I think you need to release it. Maybe social media, I'm just giving you a suggestion.
Well, I would do, but the thing is, I can't actually make it play. I've got the link to it. But,
I think that video's got me flicking one over square leg for 4 as well, so make sure you publish it.
Grief. Down the wicket comes Denio and defends in the end. A full ball back to Leach. This comes with a whole written piece by, I think, John Houghton. It's on Twitter as the old batsman, a very fine writer and book critic. Leach is in, and Denio drives firmly down the ground past the diving Leach, straight back past the bowler for a singles. Curran tide is up. There's a long piece entitled Zoltzman's Over, which sounds, a little bit like Spedegue's Dropper or similar. And it starts with, "I have been playing in cricket matches since I was 11 years old. During that time I have seen most things." You can see where this is going. And seen them often enough to realise that the game's genius lies in its quotidian variations. He's quite a flowery writer, is John. As Leach is in, round the wicket, that's punched off the back foot, out towards deep mid-wicket for another single for Pereira. He moves to 46, Sri Lanka 359 for 8. And then he says, I won't give you the whole article, he says, "And yet last week at Wormsley I was on the field for an over that will live in the memory, and that quite probably will never be repeated." At least not by another bowler. It was delivered by Andy Zoltzman. Leach is in to complete the over to Denio. He pops forward and defence thick inside edge. Goes on the ground to Crawley at short leg. There is no run. Yes, who is described here as a polymath statistician who runs a parallel career as a stand-up. And then he goes on to describe this over, which is the most remarkable thing that John Houghton has ever seen in his life. Describes your hairdo as something of a Bob Willis.
Take that.
Well, sort of a third of a Bob Willis, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I worked on the back third first. And I'll bring it
It's
forward.
coming, isn't it? And it takes time.
Anyway, there's a whole piece about it on Cricket Info. I'll try and find it. The game was against Damian Lewis's Actors team. He wanders in very exalted circles, does Zolt.
He'll get a part in billions soon.
Well, I look forward to seeing that.
Well, I think he's ahead of the game in terms of thinking, Zoltz.
Wood in, started new over Yorker length delivery, dug out really well by Pereira. That was tailing back in, possibly a hint of reverse, and Pereira looks down at his bat and Mark Wood smiles, says, oh, nearly got through. It was really well played in the end. That ball landed pretty much on the crease line.
Yeah, well dug out, because the way I say he's ahead of the game is that we're kind of thinking that there potentially will be a bowler that comes and bowls left arm and right arm spin, say. But if you can bowl left arm, right arm spin and left arm, right arm pace, you've got 4 different variations in a 6-ball over. Well, when the 100 comes down,
Oh, yes.
you start.
Wood in, that's down the leg side and taken. I think, well, off the... It has been given, has it? I'll wait to see. No, says the umpire. It's come off the thigh. Well, I've been done there like a kipper. Wood bowled a ball into the hip of Pereira, who looked to flick it away, and it ballooned to leg gully. And it looked like it might have been out, but it wasn't. There are smiles all round. He's very well padded, is Pereira.
Yeah,
And that's come off the hip, yes. There was no bat involved. And it just ballooned to Bairstow, who's there at a sort of leg gully.
So you imagine in the 100, the 5 balls, he just needs one extra variation. He's got the full bag.
Well, left arm orthodox and unorthodox, and you're there, aren't you? Clipped away nicely by Pereira. It's going to run away towards the boundary. Dive comes in, and it's in vain. So Pereira moves to his half century. It's been a tremendous knock from Pereira. Firstly, keeping Nirish and Dickweller company, and then when Dickweller was out, marshalling this tail to get really annoying runs for England and splendid runs for Sri Lanka. It's after the calamity, really, of their first innings in the first Test match. This has been a much more solid performance, shown a lot of character and no little skill, Pereira. He's been peppered a fair bit, but he reaches his 50 with a nicely timed flick, really not quite a leg glance, through deep backward square leg. Curran couldn't cut it off, running to his left at long leg, and he raises his bat for his half century. 363 for 8. Wood is in to Pereira again, who defends, and there's no run. I'm sorry, Michael, I cut you off there as Pereira insisted on getting a 50.
Yeah, so there's the variations that Zoltz can bring for the 100 for his 5 balls. I'm not too sure whether he'll get the other 5 balls, is my concern.
Oh,
you know, because you
the
can bowl
back-to-back
10,
over,
you
yes.
can bowl 10, can't you? You can bowl 10 balls.
well, thinking about it, he could bowl outswing, in swing, outswing, in swing, orthodox, unorthodox, googly with both, in
That's
effect.
it, yeah.
I mean, basically, it's like having 2 Gary Soberses in one, isn't it? As if one Gary Sobers wasn't enough, Zoltzman has upped the ante. And he can keep wicket, don't forget. Wood in, bouncer, ducked through to the keeper, and there's no run.
I did notice last week the ECB releasing players that had been retained for their 100 franchise, or well, their 100 team. I was like, well, it's not even started. We haven't seen a 100 game yet. It was making me chuckle.
Are you angling to be his agent? Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
here?
I'd like to take Zoltzman under my wing. Yeah, I think there's particularly if we can really get his hair out more. I mean, that's going to put a batter off, isn't it? You know, we get big barn. It really.
I mean,
is.
the image rights alone are going to be worth a packet, aren't they?
Yeah.
Last ball of Woods over. He's into the right-handed Pereira. Hurtles in up to the crease. Short. That spits a bit on Pereira, who plays it really well. Takes the bottom hand off the bat. Plays the ball into the ground. A less than gruntled Wood puffs out his cheeks on this very hot day. End of the over. His face has gone. To say it has a pinkish hue would be something of an understatement. 363 for 8. Embledenia 7. Pereira has 50.
Pereira's half century, 134 balls, 1654s. His 7th 50 in Test cricket, but his first since October 2017. And this is his 21st match since then. So his batting performance we talked about during the first Test had declined. He got some useful runs in the first Test and a fine 50 today.
Thank you, Andy. We're going to say A brief goodbye to Michael Vaughan. Phil Tufnell has joined us.
Morning.
Just actually a little codicil to what I was telling you. Matt Thacker had sent me all this information about Andy Zaltzman playing at Wormsley against the Actors, in which he's batting in front of Ian Glenn from Game of Thrones fame. And he says in the interview, Zaltz calls himself a young Gary Sobers, but more so.
Oh.
High praise indeed from Zaltzman for Zaltzman.
Is that called pumping your tyres up?
It is. I'm not going to let this lie. As long as he's going to goad me with his dim sum backdrop.
It's a good pitch at Wormsley.
It's a very good pitch.
How did Andy get on? Did he get runs and wickets?
He got runs and wickets,
oh,
yeah.
Did he?
With both left arm and right arm.
Very good.
Well, wonderful thing about Wormsley is that the slope is was designed to replicate Lord's. The Lord's slope, yeah. It must be kind of lovely, wasn't it, to sort of say, do you know what? I think in my back garden I'd quite like a replica Lord's.
Is that when you got a little bit too much money?
I'd say it's about exactly the right amount.
Yes, the joys of replicating exactly.
I mean, apart from the stands, of course.
Well, that'll be next.
Yeah.
Lovely spot.
Isn't it?
Isn't it? Glorious.
Yeah. Bess. Oh, it was a full toss. He's into the attack to the left-handed Embledenia, driven short extra cover. This day run up. I saw a women's test match there, England against India.
Yes.
There was a wonderful atmosphere. A rare women's test match.
Yeah.
The glorious backdrop. Forward comes Embledenia, pushes into the offside. There's no run.
They're over. Are our ladies there over in New Zealand now?
Yeah, well, they're heading there certainly,
they?
and then they've got to quarantine for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Before they play a series of T20 and one-day internationals against New Zealand.
Good side, the Kiwis.
Bess in, forward comes Embledenia and pushes into the offside field and at City Point. There's no run. This is now going to be really irking England.
Yes.
Because it's not as if Sri Lanka are going anywhere. They're just, as you were saying earlier, they're just letting the pitch deteriorate all this time. This time England aren't batting when the pitch is manageable as Embledenia goes into his crease, pushes into the offside. There's no run. One of the ends at Wormsley is called the Dibley end.
The Dibley-Dobley end?
No, it's because they filmed the Vicar of Dibley. Just beyond.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Do we know the other end?
We never know what to call that one. Full pushed into the offside. It goes picked up and covers. There's no run.
The end with no name.
Yes, it's. I don't really know.
No.
I think the whole time I was commentating that game, I could never really decide what end to call that.
It needs to be christened, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Lovely pavilion there.
Bess in, and again, Embledenia's having no trouble at all. He just props onto the front foot, finds the middle of his bat, pushes it with no great ambition into the offside. He's faced 31 balls. He's hit a 6, a single, played out 29 pretty much untroubled dot balls. And it means Pereira's on strike with 50 to his name, and Sri Lanka going along very comfortably at 363 for 8.
Yes, it's all just part of the wearing down process now, as you say. Not really going anywhere, just chipping away, doing a little bit of gardening. Well, obviously sportsmanlike and what have you, and just keeping England out there and frustrating. Nothing worse than you can't just quite finish someone off. It's 363. I heard Cookie talking about par, and I think both sides in a funny sort of way will take it when everything sort of finishes around now.
It sort of felt like a sort of 450, 500 pitch, but they batted long enough to allow the pitch to deteriorate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And 500's a big par, isn't it?
Anyway, yes.
Yes.
4.
It's a greedy par.
4 to 450.
It's a greedy par.
Yes. What England don't want to have to do is bring Anderson back onto bowl after tea.
Please.
So Wood comes rushing in to Pereira. It's full, worked into the onside. There is no run as it's picked up by Lawrence at mid-wicket.
I mean, we were just discussing earlier Jimmy Anderson. He's looking for his. He's looking for his career best, isn't he? I mean, none of the boys want to particularly get their career bests. I found this out when I first started playing against like an Oxford or a Cambridge, as a batsman, you want to have.
So you get out on about 140.
Yeah, you want to have sort of Australia's career best, or, a Test playing nation or something like that. But I was just thinking, James Anderson, with all his records and all his wickets and everything, it's probably the last thing he can sort of go for is let's get a CB at Gore.
Wood in, flicked away nicely, but straight to the square leg, where it is fielded slightly untidily by Best, but it prevents the run. 363 for 8, the score remains.
Yeah, what else can I just sort of tick off the old CV? I don't know what, the most unbelievable career best.
What are the best bowling figures? You may have been asked this, if so, I'm sorry, Andy. What are the best bowling figures for a seamer at Gaul?
Jamin Devas must be there.
I think he's had a few opportunities.
Yes.
Well, Anderson currently has them 6 for 40. Prior to that, Mitchell Stark had 6 for 50 in just 12.3 overs in August 2016.
Cool.
Wow. Wood in. It's a right-handed Pereira who pushes forward in very studious, watchful defence, and there's no run. At the moment, the game is going nowhere, but in a way, the longer it goes nowhere at this point, the more it suits Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
England want to get out there, they want to get batting before the pitch breaks up. If it does break up, we're assuming this in the last series in Sri Lanka. There are a few tests there, and we were kept on looking out, waiting for the pitch to break up, and it actually turned a bit early, and then it stayed much the same.
Which is strange, isn't it? It does do that sometimes.
Scores didn't really deteriorate.
No, but it's just a different mindset, isn't it?
Wood in full, clipped away nicely through the onside, out towards deep mid-wicket. Sibley is out there, and he fields, hurls in. One more to Pereira, goes to 51. 364 for 8.
It's a lot sort of tougher when you've got 3.5, 400 on the board, and the odd ones turning.
Yes.
It's just about putting partnerships together. That's what England will be looking to do. They want to get a good start, that's for sure. But a job to be done first. They've got to wheagle out 2 more.
It's a 2-test series as well, so you don't want to.
No.
They want to make sure they get their hands on those antlers of the Moose Cup.
Oh yes, it's a belter, isn't it?
It is a belter. It is. I like it. There's a lot of people talking about it as if I think it's terrific. Round the wicket to the left-hander as he plays and misses Embaldenia to a ball that very similar to the ball that got Tirumani out from Anderson, but it's not. Wood's not getting quite the same luck. It was a little bit shorter. He didn't have to play it. Defending slightly was Embaldenia, and it just went through to Butler, and he gazes at the sky. Does Wood?
It would be a very good trophy if it was a drawn series, because you could have that picture at the end of the
one
thing.
on each antler.
Perfect.
That would be marvellous, wouldn't it?
They are
not that that's I don't think that should shape our thinking too much.
No, but the Ashes was always a bit when it's
tricky.
Sort of,
Yes. Wood in, edge,
got him.
Taken. Root with the catch at first slip, and Wood gives out a primeval roar. So I have to say, at last, Embaldenia has to go. It was a good ball. It was in the channel. It was full. He pushed at it flat-footedly. Good thick edge. He got turned round a little bit actually, and Root took a good comfortable catch at waist height. Another catch for Root. Andy Zaltzman was telling us the other day about the number of catches he'd taken in the last 25 tests. That record continues. Sri Lanka lose their 9th wicket. Embaldenia has to go for 7. They're 364 for 9.
Well bowled, Mark Wood. Just got him trapped on the crease a bit. It was a full length delivery. Embaldenia, number 10, hanging right back in the crease. Doesn't perhaps fancy the faster bowlers like you don't down the order, and hung back, and just that good length and line outside that off stump in no sort of position. Just got a healthy edge to Joe Root. He'll be delighted with that, Mark Wood. You could hear, as you mentioned, the cry, yes, I've got one. He's had to work hard for his 3 for rear, and he could be just sniffing a little 4 for rear, and he'd be absolutely delighted with that.
Now, for those listening in, just reminders as we come up to 10 to 9 that the tea time rule will now be invoked, won't it, with Sri Lanka 9 down. So I think that means, I've got to make sure I get my wording right, that tea will be taken either at the fall of the 10th wicket or at any point in the next 50 minutes, I suppose.
50?
Yeah, well, 20 minutes up to tea, and then there'll be an extra half hour.
Yes, gotcha.
So be alert. If you were thinking of going and getting an MOT or something, pause, stop. You need to. I don't know.
Is that what you do on a Saturday morning?
I don't know what people do on Saturday morning. To be honest with you, I'm usually in bed during Saturday morning, all the way up to the early afternoon. But since I don't want to reveal any more secrets of my life, I'm going to make a hasty departure and leave you in the very safe hands of Jonathan Agnew, who is very likely to take you up to tea? Well, I'd imagine.
I could be going for a very long time by the look of it, Dan. Yes, I've got my notes ready for tea. Actually, I'm looking forward to tea because we're going to be talking about the sort of history of Sri Lanka cricket, really, which is fascinating. Writer historian Nicholas Brooks is going to be joining us at tea whenever that may be. I suspect some frantic phone calls are being made to him. So if you're listening, Nicholas, be prepared to come on at short notice. Anyway, Lasith Embaldenia has gone. They put on a very useful 31 actually. Now Asita Fernando looks a little reluctantly round the field. He's not really much of a batsman. He's a nice steady seam bowler. But is he going to give an England spinner their first wicket of the innings? Because it's an obvious question for Andy Zoltzman, which if he's been asked and has answered before, I apologise, I was making some breakfast. In goes Best round the wicket and bowls, spins away down the leg side, defeating Butler, who's mopped up by Root at short fine-legged, so there's no run. So when was on earth the last time that a spinner failed to take a wicket in an innings on the subcontinent? I mean, let's just narrow it out. Forget Gaul. Let's spread it around. I mean, it's so unusual. In goes Bess, and he bowls, and there's a kicked away by Pereira into the leg side.
How was your bread, Agus?
No, I didn't have bread actually. I revisited my pork. So I warmed up. It feels like lunchtime really. So I had a bit of a pork stir fry. I know it feels horribly early at 10 to 9, but it's lunchtime really, isn't it? So
I thought you were making bread.
There was nothing else in the fridge. I've been abandoned, so I just did a few leftovers really.
Oh, you had a little snuffle about.
So there's just nothing in there. The place is bereft. 364 for 9, and Pereira 51 waits as Best goes round. That was a very full, almost full toss. That which is just tapped back at him patiently by De Roo and Pereira.
Is he going to play a few shots?
Well, I think he's aware. They'll bring the field in. And that might give him his chance, because I wouldn't bank on Fernando lasting too long down the other end. There's 3 balls to go in this over. Bess, of course, will get a wicket here. In he goes, bowls. He's down the pitch, hammering it back at him. Oh, has he dropped that?
I think he has.
He might have dropped it. He's on his hands and knees. He's got a real stinger on the hand. But from what I could see there, that could well have been a caught and bowled chance. Oh dear. I'll wait till we see more of that. But it's in his left hand rather than his right. Even so, that's given him something to think about. And let's have a look at the all-telling replay. It was hit very hard. Yeah, I'm afraid. Well, all he can say is that his hands at least stopped the ball going straight into his knee. But that was, I'm afraid, if you've got naught for, if he wanted to somehow cling on to that, it was hit very hard, but it was technically a chance.
That will sting the fingers. Just got the sort of end of the fingers on it as he went. It was sort of low, wasn't it? He got a bit too close to it, if anything. Pereira could only just drill it about shin height at him.
Well, that's the sort of chance that we thought he might get. Look on the bright side, Don Bess, your hands aren't cold.
No.
That would have stung even more. 365 for 9. Fernando then waits for his first ball. Bess on the way. There's 3 men round the bat. He comes groping forward, runs off a thick edge, fielded by Root. He looks around the field, perhaps a little ambitiously. There's only 1 ball to go, and I think he'll be looking to block this. Bess still looking at his fingers, making sure he's looking, making sure his little finger was straight. I think they hadn't dislocated. And he goes again. Bowls Fernando forward, and creeps away into the offside, and that means that Pereira will indeed be on strike for the next over. Best no wicket for 76. Well, they had a difficult chance there, but it was a chance.
It's always a sort of a worried look down, isn't it, when something like that happens? Because you go, oh no, let's have a look. Are they all still straight? I've dislocated a couple on chances like that.
Have you?
Yeah, it turns the old tummy a bit when you look down and they're all pointing the wrong way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just as everyone's having their breakfast.
Or stir fries.
Yes, or stir fries, yes.
I'm not sure many people were having pork loin warm-up stir fries at this particular time. It's very good.
Was it a sandwich or something?
No, I just woxed it up.
Just with a few veggies or something.
I threw a few mushrooms in, a few tomatoes. Off I went. I had to bolt it down because I did the Today programme as well, so it was a bit of a quick a quick one. It was very tasty. Set me up for the day. 365 for 9. What's Pereira going to do here? He's got Wood bowling at him. He's now taken 3 for 73.
Well, I think he'll probably block a couple and then have a bit of a dip.
In he goes. Wood's on his way. Bowls to him. Oh, he's gone for a dip already. He's flicked that away. Well, it's gone to deep backward square leg into the sort of area where the groundsman sits. I wonder if he lofted it and got underneath that, and whether it's actually gone all the way for 6. It would looks a bit bemused.
3 fellas out there for it as well.
Yeah.
They've got 3 fellas all on that leg side boundary.
It was only
on
4, but he really got underneath that. A very good shot indeed.
Yeah, he's more than a play. He's more than a decent player, I think, Pereira.
Yes, he is.
He's looked very solid, and also got a few shots in the locker as well.
Yeah, fine shot that one. A cloud building up in the distance, but generally over the city there isn't normally affect the cricket too much.
Have you got a forecast, John, for the?
Well, no, I don't know how accurate these are, because even the Sri Lankan weather forecasters in Gaul aren't very accurate. So what the prospects are of my app here at Melton Mowbray telling us what it's going to do in Gaul over the next few days, I'm not sure, but it just seems to be sort of it looks set fair.
Yes,
it looks beautiful.
Good.
Wood scampering in, bowls short, bouncer. Pereira's underneath it, ball flies over his head. 369 for 9. How are we doing with those figures, Andy?
Well, in terms of innings where seamers have taken all 10 in Asia, there have only been 3 instances since April 2008, most recently India skittling Bangladesh in Calcutta in 2019. For an example, in Sri Lanka, you've got to go back to 1994 when seamers took all 10, which is a possibility for England here. And that was Waka Yunis and Wasim Akram skittling Sri Lanka for 71 in an unbroken opening stint of 28.2 overs between them.
Very, very rare. In goes Wood again. The big leap he bowls and follows Pereira there. He's heading off down the leg side. Not in any sort of cowardly way, but I think he suspected a short ball was likely, and so he's getting himself in a position to either carve it or pull it. But he was ready there for the short one. It was Wood saw him going and directed that straight into his body. But, he was lining it up, that's for sure. Wood glaring at him as much as Mark Wood could ever glare at anybody.
Yes,
he's not a glarer.
He's got a nice face, hasn't he, Woody?
Oh yeah.
Slow ball.
And he goes again. Bowls, bouncer far down the leg side. I liked your slow ball idea.
Yeah.
That's full slower ball.
Yeah, it's not used enough for my mind.
No.
Fast bowlers bowling at tail enders who are looking to have a bit of a swish.
No.
Just gets you offset, doesn't it, and unbalanced.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Really just a low, little drifter.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 balls to go, so he'll be looking to, well, get a single if he can.
I think I'd be getting myself ready for the pull shot or the hook.
Well, he's taking it on. 369 for 9. Wood again's there and he bowls on the leg stump. It's turned straight to the fielder there at square leg. So, important ball here for Wood to try and keep Pereira down at that end and expose Fernando. He faced 2 balls, Fernando, but he played best okay, but I don't think he's likely to hit him for 4s or 6s as Pereira might well do. A couple of men on the leg side saving the single, 2 in the off. There's got some gaps around there.
Yeah, too many for my mind.
A lot of gaps. There's also a very fine third man, so it suggests that the short ball is on the way. In goes Wood, bowls, it is, it's bouncer, and Pereira's underneath it. So that did the job. It kept Pereira down there, and now Fernando will start a new over. I wonder if you might bring something a bit quicker on rather than
you're gonna have to
spinner for him.
Gonna have to persuade Jimmy, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't think it'd need much
something.
persuading. He's got
No, yes.
He's got what, 6 for 40. He's bowling at a proper rabbit. I think I might be looking around for something a bit more hostile, but we'll see. At the moment, we're looking at another of those lovely shots from this drone that's been very busy during these 10 days or so. I think the camera operators must have been given it for Christmas or something, because it spends a lot of time in the sky. But it's a very
steady, isn't it?
picturesque.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful setting. Well, they got Sam Curran in, so not necessarily raw pace, but quicker than best. So now we're on for Seamus taking all 10, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that's quite a good decision there. Get a bit of pace on, unless it's really turning, but it's not. It looked too easy there for Fernando just to block out for his mate down the other end. So.
Yes, it did, really. And Pereira's clearly going to play shots against the spinner, so this does make sense. So can Curran mop it up? England have tea and then get batting. 369 for 9 is the score. Fernando's on strike. Curran bowls very wide outside the off stump. And Fernando plays a very measured looking leave there. Yeah, it was very wide. Curran's having a conversation with the umpire there about something or other. Mr. Damasina. Sweeping back his hair. He's one of the few who hasn't fallen foul of Ollie Robinson's clippers.
No.
He's still got quite a lot of hair on there, but I think he's working his way through the team. 369 for 9. Here comes Curran bowls, and that's pushed away out to point.
He's got his top button done up as well. So Curran. Oh.
Yeah. It's made of pretty stern stuff. There's some interesting hairdos. They're not quite as bad. My old school barber, he had one leg significantly longer than the other.
Right.
And there's always a feeling if your hair was too long, you were sent to go and see him. So he had very much longer, and he had a very bad stammer. So you go in there and try and say, please guys, a very gentle cut please. And goes Curran outside the off stump. You come back with half of it above one ear and the other down by your neck.
You had a sort of like a barber at your school.
Well, if your hair was long in those days, you were considered to be unruly, and off you went. I can't remember his name. But
there you go. Slasher.
It was worth making sure that your hair was short.
Slasher Harry.
Yeah, it was an interesting chap.
Okay.
No, it was never quite lined up. 369 for 9, and in comes Curran again and bowls outside the off stump, fielded in the gully. Could possibly have scrambled a run there, but decided not to. Jimmy Anderson's waving at somebody.
What, he didn't sort of teach chemistry or something, and then at lunchtime he did a bit of
full-time job.
Full-time job.
Had his own little room. A bit like being sent in to see the headmaster. He had the same sort of reluctance,
but with sharp implements.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, wouldn't have caught me there. My ponytail.
You wouldn't have had it. You'd been
my
in.
Ponytail would have had to come off.
You'd have made a mess of that. There's Fernando playing out to cover.
I think I'm due one actually. A couple of days' time. It really is getting a little bit unwieldy at the moment. I think the Duchess is going to have to get the shears out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about it, I haven't thought about this chap for a long while, but you know how on hairdressers you get all the sort of certificates up, don't you? You know, the best this and so guild for. Yes. He didn't have any of those.
No.
No, I don't think there were any qualifications.
No, just a picture of Tom Selleck.
369 for 9. Can they finish it up? Curran's got a ball to go. Fernando's waiting. The number 11 is there, and it bowls to him. He plays that perfectly comfortably, rocking onto the front foot. Curran looks disgusted, and is fielded in the covers. 136 overs bowled. That's a lot of hard work. That's putting a proper shift in.
Yeah, you might have a change of boots there. It's that sort of conditions and atmosphere where they just start to sag a bit, isn't it?
Yes.
They get a bit stretched and the feet get a bit warm. And they still wear those big. Yeah, yes, you do. And they still wear those big old sort of grey blue socks now. They still cricket socks. Or have they got some newfangled sock?
We used to wear two of those, didn't we?
My word.
2 pairs of those thick socks, like light purple, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Pull them on and
could imagine. Oh yes, there must be some new material now.
Well, I'm always amazed by the boots. I look at the bowling boots these days.
Slippers, like slippers.
They are. They're so light.
Bally shoes.
Yeah.
Head and half help.
We used to run on those old hobnail things.
You could feel the studs coming through and all.
Oh yeah. So, Wood is bowling to Pereira, who's on 56. Wood's on his way. He wants 1 wicket to wrap it up. There's a short ball flogged away into the leg side, and there's a ring of people out there in the deep. That went to Sibley.
Doesn't take it.
And they don't take the run. So he looks to wanting to deal in boundaries only, Mr. Pereira, or twos I suppose, but with men out they were quite hard to find now. Wood's taken 3 for 77. You see the way he celebrates the wickets. It means a lot for fast bowlers to get wickets in these conditions.
It does indeed.
The effort that you put in, and not just what you're putting in today, but all the training. Wood again bowls, and this time Pereira sways away from a short rising ball outside the off stump. All the training, all the gym work, everything to get you fit enough to bowl like this.
Yeah, it's like a badge of honour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went to Gaul.
Yes.
And got 3 for. That's what makes Jimmy Anderson's one so.
Well, I told that
amazing.
story about dear old Sid Lawrence. I don't know if he's listening or not. On the tour that I went on, where the Gaul game was the last in the tour, and Sid hadn't yet got a wicket on the tour, and there's a big nick. He was bowling to Shantila Karatne, I think it was. 369 for 9. There's Wood again bowls, and a slower bounce at this time that Pereira avoids. And I mean, he nicked it, and it was Stephen Rhodes giving wicket. It's out. He can nick it round the ground, you know. And Hashan, I mean, just Sid was, he was just like Mark Wood was. He got a wicket. And Hashan sort of smiled angelically to the Sri Lankan umpire, who ruled not out. It got a bit nasty.
Got a bit ugly.
There were some frayed tempers, yes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There were.
Sid, good mate of mine.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, Sid is like Mark Wood. I mean, he did every ball's massive effort. There's Wood again. Bowls. That's pulled away into the leg side. And again, there's a scrambling save out there. And again, they don't take the run. So that's 2 balls remaining. Well, Fernando played Curran fairly comfortably, but it's sort of going nowhere. There's the trouble. If they're not going to take any runs.
Agus, I've just got a text from my mate who I think went to your school. Said the barber was called Danny.
It was. It was. Danny Egan. Danny Egan. There you go. What does he back?
He's obviously.
He goes Wood again and bowls outside the off stump. Yes, he didn't dare call him Danny. He said, "Please, Mr. Egan." You were very, very polite, but it didn't really change matters.
Yes, he just said, "Tell Agus, the
Wow.
barber had one leg longer than the other." You're spot on. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
How funny. Thank you, Sketch.
It's Sketch, is it?
Yes.
Okay, he was indeed there. Well. Good old Mr. Egan. No, so there weren't many
takers.
Well, there weren't any certificates and things, gold awards or anything on the wall.
Vidal Sassoon certificates.
No, and no nice products. 370 for 9. In goes Wood. Over the wicket, bowls another slower ball. It's very full. He's played that well. He steered it away for 4.
Wow.
And that's a little bonus for Pereira and for Sri Lanka. He's going for the Yorker there, and just over pitched. It's beautifully played.
Yeah.
Guiding the ball down to the boundary. Very well played.
Yeah, because he's given himself a bit of room there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Backed away to the leg side. Decent thinking by Mark Wood. He knew he was looking to go leg side to try and play that sort of expansive hook or pull. Went full and just sort of trapped it on the crease and middled it for 4. Good shot.
374 for 9. Can they get to 400? Last ball of the over. Wood's on the way, bowls, and that's turned it round the corner. That's not what England want. It means that Pereira will keep the strike, and down to this end he trots. 61 not out. So he's protecting Fernando. It's so frustrating, this. From an England perspective, Mickey Arthur's got a smile on his face as usual.
Yeah, he'll be delighted, won't he, with this this response.
That setting that we're looking at there, the drone. Did you get to Mount Maunganui? Have you been there in New Zealand? It's actually quite similar with the.
Yes.
All you're missing is the mountain, but you've got
Lake
the water
Taupo.
all round the ground. It's a beautiful setting.
Yeah. Yeah, New Zealand very similar. Yeah, lots of those lovely bays over there, aren't
Yes, yeah, it is similar.
there? Yeah, beautiful. Lake Taupo, big fan of that. Beautiful.
Yes.
Or
Taupo, yeah.
Taupo, yeah.
Didn't you leap out of an aeroplane?
Yes, I did. I saw it from probably that kind of view, actually, from the a drone's eye view.
I still find it incredible that you did all that. Has it actually made British television yet?
Well, not yet, but it's been out in New Zealand. It's on Prime Video. Yeah, no, it's very good. Very good. On New
can't
Zealand.
see it.
Yeah, no.
So you did skydiving?
Skydiving, jumped off of the tower in Auckland, which is
Bungee jump?
Yes, or a controlled descent that was, and then did the biggest bungee jump at the. Oh, I forget what it was called now, but it's one of the biggest.
Down in the south somewhere?
Yeah.
So off that bridge down there?
Yes, but it was the big one. I
Into
forget
the
what it's
gorge.
called now. Yes, that's right, that one. Oh.
Near Queenstown.
Oh. Still haven't
Of
really
all the
recovered.
people.
Yes, I know.
Oh, well, we'll have to look. Let me know when it's around. But
Yeah,
well, we saw you do the jump, of course, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah, that was.
That was pretty brave.
Yeah, that was pretty terrifying as well.
375 for 9. Curran bowls out of the back of the hand there. And Pereira turns it to mid-wicket. There's no run. He could have had one if he wanted, but as we know, he's just shielding the number 11 at the moment. Just moving along slowly. I mean, it was 363 for 9, so they've added 12. You never know how useful they might be.
You mentioned that fault a lot. What was that fault there for?
Well, the Dutch put it there.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
To keep the invaders out, I suppose.
Yeah.
And goes another one out of the back of the head.
It's like
And,
a top spin, like a leggy.
That could have gone for a run again. It's 69 miles an hour. Funnily enough, the previous ball did exactly the same, and it was also exactly 69 miles an hour. So it's just the speed that it comes out. It's beautifully bowled.
Yes, lovely delivery.
The seam was perfect.
Back of the hand.
It's a new trick of Sam Curran's, that.
Oh yeah, never seen the back of the hand one. He's been working on that. Bit of IPL probably.
Absolutely. But he's bowled it twice and pitched it perfectly.
Yeah, like the old.
375 for 9. Pereira's on 61. Curran this time bowls a full speed bumper, which doesn't really carry through to the keeper. There's not much pace involved in that. Mop of the brow, sweeping back the hair. Great capacitor, Sam Curran. Jimmy Anderson there, I can see he's got a blue vest on under his shirt, and you know that because his shirt is just so wet. It's clinging to his vest.
I think that's one of those things that monitors you, isn't it?
It is. In goes Curran. Bowls. Oh, that finds the edge. That's a pretty good ball, actually. It moved away. Runs down to third man off a genuine edge. And this time they do take the run. There's 2 balls to go.
Yeah, one of those, what are they like? What's it called?
There's GPS ones.
Yes, GPS.
Yeah.
Just in case you get lost.
Yes. Well, he's racked up a few miles. I think he'll lost some weight.
Yeah. You lose pounds, don't you?
Yeah. So 2 balls for Curran to finish it off and get the game moving, which I think really is what everyone wants to happen here.
It needs to happen.
When the wicket falls, tea will be taken, and then England will get batting, and we're into the business part of the game again. In goes Curran, bowls, and Fernando very capably turns that into the leg side. It goes for a little walk. Quite pleased himself with that. Curran sucks in the air. 376 for 9. As the attention will focus on Sibley and Crawley and see. Well, they saw 23 between them in the last test.
Oh, it's a good beard. Dom Sibley's got good beard. Just looking at it there.
It's got a bushy one.
Oh, isn't it? Hardly see any skin.
376 for 9. Here's the last ball of the over. Fernando on strike. Curran switches to over the wicket, finds the edge. It's fielded by Crawley, who of course will also be opening the innings for England as and when. And that's the end of the over. 376 for 9. We're still waiting for this wicket to fall, and then to have the tea break. Just the odd hoot of a horn. It's very quiet by Gaul standards. We're bustling around there. Andy Zoltzman.
You mentioned Mount Maunganui. England had to bowl 201 overs in the first innings there
Right.
in November of 2019. And this is the first time since then that England have been kept in the field for more than 135 overs in first innings, and only the second time since March 2018, when in that disastrous first test in Auckland they were bowled out for 58 and then bowled 141 overs before New Zealand declared. To give an idea of the challenges England will be facing soon, on their last tour of India they had 4 out of 5 first innings lasted at least 135 overs. Ooh. And then 3 out of 5 in the Ashes the following winter. So those 2 challenges coming up for England. So Sri Lanka also lasted over 135 overs in the second innings. In the first test of this series have shown more resolve than at the start in the first innings.
You always know when the tour isn't going so well because you always feel like you're fielding
all the time.
Always feel like just always in the field.
That innings in Mangaroo went on forever.
Oh,
it was the keeper, wasn't it?
How many was it?
He got 100.
BJ Watling.
BJ Watling, yeah.
200 and something.
I think he was dropped horribly fairly early on as well, like at about 20 or 30, I think he was. In goes Wood over the wicket, and he bowls to Pereira, who blocks it. The ball goes nowhere, and he picks the ball up and tosses it back to Wood. That's good. 376 for 9.
Watling made 205 in that innings in just over 11 hours. There was also 100 for Mitchell Santner, batting at 8, his first test 100. 615 for 9 declared.
That's a few boys down the order. That is getting runs then.
An absolute marathon.
So did England get a few wickets early on, and then they?
I'm going to see if I can find it in my. I might need some time to look this up.
Santner would have been about 8.
Goes Wood and bowls on the off stump. It's turned out to mid wicket. He was dropped by Stokes at slip.
On 20.
31. I found the T20s. I'm going to get there. I'm going to find it. I think T20 matches were first. First test, Mount Maunganui. England batted first, 353.
Nice.
Denley, 74. Stokes, 91. Pope, 29. Lost 6 for 112. Familiar story. In goes Wood. Bowls are driven away out to cover. Wagner, 3 for 90. Ran in balls and bouncers. So 353. 625 for 9.
What were they 4 down?
They were 127 for 4.
Oh, got a sniff.
226 behind. Williamson got 51, and then the stand 205, is it? From 473 balls to Grondom got 65.
The big house.
Watling dropped 31 by Stokes. There it is. Then goes Wood.
Memory.
Balls on the off stump.
Well, you remember those kind of things, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Even when you're commentating on it.
I've got a feeling it's the bowler route. Might have been. It's quite unusual, but yeah, England then bowled out for 197. Memories, eh?
Memory.
Then, of course, second test match. Is that where Joe Root got 226. I think to the relief of quite a few people, I'd lost my voice in that match, and Simon had to do virtually everything. Commentate, report. 376 for 9. In goes Wood. Bowls on off stump. And, it's played out to extra cover.
Yeah, how is the voice? You've had the odd bit of trouble with that.
Yeah. No, I think we're struggling on, but it completely went there.
Yeah,
coming completely. Poor old Simon.
Had to double up.
Yeah, he did. One of my favourite members of that tour was my daily breakfast with Stephen Finn, and we had a challenge every morning. We had to find somewhere different to go.
Oh, okay.
And off we'd go. Yeah.
Not the hotel.
No, off and about.
Sorry.
Through the little towns, you know. Yeah. And go and find somewhere, a little coffee shop every time. Chat about cricket and life and so on. Nice man. 376 for 9. Wood, big leap, bowls on the off stump. Pereira guides it away. He's done it again. He's got another single. So he'll keep strike on 63, 377 for 9. I can see Simon in position up there. I think probably the way things are looking, I better hand over to him. I saw his mouth full of something at the moment, but maybe a
flapjack.
Yeah, a word from you, Tuffers.
Yes, becoming annoying.
Then, Simon, ma'am.
Yeah, it's becoming annoying now for England. Just being able to farm the strike here a bit, Pereira, not necessarily looking for the big shots, just content with getting the 4 or 5 balls and then knocking a single. Almost just waiting for that pitch to start misbehaving a bit. But this will be annoying, the opening batsman, Simon.
Annoying all the England fielders, really,
Yeah.
and the bowlers. The other thing is, of course, they've stopped trying to get Pereira out, and when you stop trying to get both batsmen out, then potential problems. You can see why they're doing it. They're trying to limit the number of runs, but he seems to be manipulating the situation well. And at the moment, it looks very frustrating. There's a lot of sweat on brows out there. Here's Curran looking for his first wicket of the innings. Goes in and bowls round the wicket to Pereira. It's very full. It's scythed away towards deep cover, and they do not take the single. So Pereira stays on 63. So basically, the field is all set back. There's no attacking fields or anything like that. You bowl 4 balls the over and just wait to the end of the over to try to get the wicket, bring the field up. And it means that the bowlers, the fast bowlers like Wood, are expending a lot of energy here. 377 for 9. We're in the 140th over. Tea's been delayed. And Pereira waits. Curran bowls to him. It's full. It's flogged down the ground out towards a straight long on boundary, and that's gone away for 4. So there's the occasional gap as well, even though the field is set back. And that's really well played by Pereira. It takes him to 67 and Sri Lanka to 381 for 9. And captains do it so often. They say, right, we're only going to try and get one batsman out. And this happens so often. Michael Vaughan is here.
Yeah, good morning. Tremendous strike. I've just looked outside.
It's snowing, isn't it?
It's snowing quite heavy, yeah. Here in Salford at Media City. Yeah, danger territory this for England, because Sri Lanka have batted a long time in this first innings, and the pitch is wearing now.
Nice piece of evasive action from umpire Pali Garuga behind the stumps to get out of the way of that. Here is Curran bowling. It's short, it's pulled away out towards deep back with square legs. The catch taken, I'm not sure. No one's celebrating. It's one of those again. I think it might well have been. Yes, it is. Leach has taken the catch. Well, it was one of those wickets where no one celebrated whatsoever. And Pereira is on his way. In a way, he just decided to take it on in that over. So the field was set back, and he took on the short ball. And Sam Curran has got his wicket in the end. And it was a good low catch taken by Jack Leach.
Brilliant catch.
But there was no reaction from any of the England fielders, no reaction from the bowler, and no reaction from the batsman as well. So it was one of those difficult ones. It was a bit like that best dismissal of Dick Weller when no one celebrated because he was embarrassed to get the wicket with that ball. But well played, Pereira, out for 67. Sri Lanka finally succumbed for 381 in 139.3 overs, and all 10 wickets in this innings have gone to the pace bowlers.
Well, that's got Zolt's surely kind of typing away. When is the last time that that has happened in subcontinent cricket, but in Gaul? It's a seam bowler's graveyard, yet England have got all 10 with the seamers. Slightly concerning that the spinners didn't pick up a couple at least. Jimmy Anderson is just waving that ball to the camera. No fans obviously for him to wave to. 6 for Jimmy Anderson. Great effort by the seamers, but I think Sri Lanka will be quietly delighted that they've got a score on the board to put England under some pressure.
So
It's
England,
the first.
sorry, Andy.
Sorry, Simon. It's the first time in a test in Gaul that seamers have taken all 10 in an innings, and the first time in a test in Sri Lanka since 1994 in Kandy, that game I mentioned a few minutes ago, and Waka and Wasim. Unbroken 28.2 overs between them, 10 for 66.
Yeah, well, that shows you the situation. It shows you the pitch as well. There's not much there for the spinners. It shows you the quality of Anderson, the persistence of Wood, and Curran in the end chipping in with a late wicket. I suppose in the end, Pereira lost a bit of patience. I don't know. He was batting nicely and working it around, and in the end just took on that short ball and caught it deep backwards square leg.
Yeah, but
so
also
381 all out. Just a very quick comment, Michael.
Sri Lanka are 1-0 down in the series, so they have to get on with it. So he made the right call, and I think it's not a bad thing for Sri Lanka to get the ball in hand, try and get some wickets in this last session now.
Yep, it's nicely set up, this Test match. We're fascinated to see how England are going to get on in their first innings, especially the top two against the spinners.